For all the details you need, help give your fellow Giants fans more days at the ballpark and schedule your donation today.
Skechers elite athlete OG Anunoby has been making history on the basketball court.
Anunoby tips it in. Unbelievable. What a shot.
He's been balling out in Skechers high-performance basketball sneakers, and the world is noticed. But how does OG train off the court to keep in peak physical condition? Hands-free Skechers Slip-ins Aeroburst. They help prepare OG for the physical demands of playing at a championship level. Get your pair of Aeroburst for only $165 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs. Mixers,
listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM at HD1 San Francisco.
Belts and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know Skechers makes high-performance footwear for almost every sport you play? Here's what our athletes are saying.
Hi, I'm pro basketball player OG Anunoby. I dominate in Skechers basketball. Skechers delivers championship-level performance.
I'm WNBA star Jackie Young. Skechers keeps me quick, comfortable, and ready for anything.
And you can get high-performance Skechers and hands-free slip-ins technology. Just step in and perform.
I'm pro golfer Matt Fitzpatrick. I play in hands-free Skechers golf slip-ins.
Find yours at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or whatever high-performance sports shoes are sold.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. The best Giants talk in the Bay is on 95.7 The Game. Reaction to every pitch.
Miller throws. He got him with the fastball. Miller's pointing at all the Reds.
Every home run.
High drive. Left field. Out of here.
And every big play.
A little slow roller. Chapman. Barehand. Got it.
It's your fix for Giants baseball.
It is a dream come true, but it's a very recent dream.
The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap.
Eldridge. High drive. Center field. Out of here. This game is tied.
You just made the season. Everything for the next 15 years. The future. The present. The future. He's asleep upstairs right now.
Hello there. Welcome into the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. And Sam Lohman alongside Dan Devone. You're hearing the stylings of Steven Risotto behind the glass. And we're coming in with a Bryce Eldridge home run. So that means something good happened in last night's Giants game, right? It means that maybe it was a happy ending. It was an enjoyable night at the corner of third and kick. I can't even say it with a straight face. Well, that was one of the worst baseball games I've ever attended last night. Giants lose 5-2 to the Rockies. Yes, the Bryce Eldridge home run was an awesome moment, and it does make up for a lot of last night. But holy hell, Dan, that was a battle between two of the worst teams in the National League record-wise last night. And when you look on the field, yeah, that very much looked like a battle between two of the worst teams in the National League last night. In fact, by winning percentage, that actually was the two worst teams in the National League last night. Giants this morning waking up with a .410 winning percentage, a game ahead of the last place Rockies with a .402 winning percentage. Yeah, that was, other than that one little 9-second highlight that we came in with, that was a rough one last night.
The Giants have been, I want to say, around 500 through June and July, which, you know, you'll take when you consider how bad they were at the beginning of the year. August has been bad. And we talk about this just about every week, how Tony Vitello has got to finish strong. Maybe he doesn't have to finish strong. That is a foregone conclusion. Either he's staying or he's going. Maybe those decisions have already been made. But you'd like to finish strong, and I know you've alluded to the fact that now that he's got a younger roster, let's see what he can do with it. But this is not going well over the last couple of weeks. And San Francisco, it's not only isolated to last night, but I'd say over the last rash of games, not only losing, but the way they're losing. I mean, this is not good fundamental baseball. We'll just leave it at that.
No, it's been really bad, Dan. And as we're coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios, Laughing Monk Righteously Brewed in San Francisco, you're right. I did say give Tony a younger roster. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can mold these guys. The reality is you needed to give Tony the younger roster back in spring training. I think by now things have just gone so far off the rails with this season that, I don't know how you're not getting it back on track. You're going to keep seeing games like this. And one thing Tony talks about, in terms of what you want to see the rest of the year, because obviously throw wins and losses out the window. You're not evaluating this team off of wins and losses the rest of the year, because if you do that, you're going to lose your everlasting mind. He talks about, he calls it competitive effort. And I do like that term. Are you seeing a competitive effort out there? And from some guys you are. Bryce Eldridge, you are still seeing that from him. We saw Jonah Cox, we called last night. He had a great catch in the first inning. I think that was to start the game off, or might have been the second batter of the game. Mickey Moniak, second batter of the game, hits a ball out to deep center field. It looked from where I was sitting in the press box like it might have gotten out. I don't know, but Coxie, he leapt right up and made a great catch there.
He's a good defender.
I like him a lot because kid's got a great attitude as well. And Tony was talked about it pregame. In fact, we'll hear from Tony on this a little bit. But Cox's a guy who, he's going to be playing all over the place, not just the outfield. He wants to be that utility, fielder guy as well. So you're seeing snippets here and there. Overall, though, Dan, last night, if you're looking for a competitive effort, that was not it. You were not finding it last night. That was a slop fest of baseball last night. Not just by the Giants, the Rockies too. Like there's the Jake McCarthy bunt in the third. Landon Roop tries to get him, throws it into right field. McCarthy rounds first too much and gets tagged. And, I tweeted out the time, the Giants might be the Giants, but the Rockies are still the Rockies. And who's laughing now?
I am rooting against the Giants.
I was totally expecting a Cosell laugh there, but that was a good one too. Good job, Risotto.
It's really sort of hitting rock bottom here. I mean, we've been at rock bottom for a while, but believe it or not, we're sort of going into places that we've never traveled before as far as just ineptitude with this team. And I think, we always talk about, at least I do, Pat Murphy is sort of the benchmark of the Milwaukee Brewers who always overachieve. Yeah, they have a good team, and they got maybe the best pitching in baseball, this side of the Los Angeles Dodgers, especially when you get to the postseason, you pare it down to 3 starters. But what is the reason for the success? What's the template? What's the structure? It's the way they play, right? It's fundamentals. It's running the bases. It's not committing errors. It's just being smart. And those things you can control. And those things, unfortunately or fortunately, are usually just a reflection of coaching. Like either that's embedded and it's either taught and it's enforced. Like there's certain things you can do as a young player, right? Maybe you can't catch up to a 98-mile slider on the black, but you certainly can play smart, fundamental baseball, and that should be a reflection of the organization. And right now, the Giants and the Colorado Rockies, as you mentioned, look like two teams that are two of the worst in baseball, which they are. And I think they're like 5-5 over the last 10 games, or they're sort of the season series, or 6-5.
They're the Rockies. The Rockies lead the season series 6-5.
6-5.
The Giants need to win these next 2 games to win the season series against a Rockies team that we just heartily laugh at.
Oh, God.
And that should tell you just about everything. So I understand the injuries, but to me, what's even more alarming is the way they're playing baseball. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, I'm sorry, but all fingers point at Tony Vitello, and this is just an organization right now that's going south.
Oh, absolutely. And it's the boneheaded mistakes. I want to play some that Tony said post-game in a minute, because there were plays in that game last night that just you scratch your head. Not just the Landon Root play. There was a Christian Koss play where Sullivan was on third and Mickey Moniak hits a chopper to second, and Koss, instead of getting the easy out at first, tries to go home. Which I got it. I understood in the moment why you would try and do that, but you need to get a perfect throw there from short. And even if Willie Adames was at short at that time, I don't know if he's making that play. That would have been a difficult play for Brandon Crawford to make. And Koss, to his credit, the throw was in time, albeit to the wrong side of the plate. A better place throw, maybe you get Sullivan there, but it's just in that moment, you gotta go throw the ball to first there. There's the base running mistakes too. Christian Koss, I don't mean to pick on Christian Koss, unfortunately, but There's another ball where grounded to Ezekiel Tovar at short, and Dan, anybody who was around to watch the Mauricio Dubon era of Giants baseball knows that when a ground ball's hit in front of you, you don't try to advance. That was something that Dubon did all the time. And Christian Koss did that. He tried to advance, got caught in a pickle, but again, the Rockies are still the Rockies, and they ended up fumbling that play away. Koss was able to get back to second base, so you avoided disaster only because the other team you're going against is so fundamentally unsound. And Tony was asked about, the fundamental errors, not just on the Giants, but on the Rockies as well, post-game. Here's what he had to say about that.
There was a quirky one there with McCarthy. It was interesting with the 2-strike bunt attempts and then the flare. But really the play Roop had was kind of a do or die with how the bunt was put down, and he missed arm side, which is, typically the way that deal goes down. And, the way the base runner got caught up, you could pull each one of them aside and say, it's an exception here or there. I know they play a good brand of baseball on the position side. It's tough to pitch there. It just is. I'm sure it's different when they go on the road for their pitchers. But speaking for our own team, we need to get better in a lot of different areas. So, again, you can pull those out and make an exception for all of them. Just the one thing we have to do is throw strikes. You can say this guy hit a home run and this guy didn't get a hit with a runner in scoring position, but we walked 7, they walked 1. That's all. That, to me, we should be sitting here saying 3-2 game, and one of those mistakes could have cost the game. But to me, those are secondary to that. The one thing we can't do is throw the ball to the wrong base when we have a team meeting about it before the game. Can't do it anyway, but especially on a day where we literally have a meeting about it.
Is that last part there, Dan, about throwing the ball to the wrong base on a day where you have meetings about doing that? Like, I've had that happen here where, we'll have a producer meeting, don't do this mistake, and then I'll do it the next day, and then I get yelled at even a bit more by our boss, Matt Nahigian. Like, that's about as bad as you can get to make a mistake the day of being told not to make that mistake. That's just where this team is at right now.
Yeah, but again, how much of this is on Vitello?
I think it's a massive that's not a great reflection on Tony. Yeah. Absolutely. No, none of this is. I think it speaks to your players. It does speak to how much you are connecting with your players. And even more so, after the game, we do our post-game stuff, and we're walking back up to the press box, and one of the writers was like, so wait a minute, which play was he talking about there when he mentioned the play going to the wrong base? Because we weren't really sure. My guess is it was that Christian Koss play. There's also maybe the Victor Barracoto error where he got the fly ball out in left, and I don't know if he was trying to throw to third or home. He somehow ended up splitting the bases, and the ball went over the catcher, Andrew Kisner's head, around the backstop, and both runners end up advancing a base there. I don't know which play that Tony was talking about, the fact that there's multiple plays where you don't know if the guy threw to the right base or not. On a day where you literally had a team meeting about throwing to the right base. Like, Dan, you mentioned rock bottom, and we got a special guest in the station today. We got our guy live in person.
That's a heck of an segue. We've hit rock bottom. Ruderman's here.
But Ruderman was said earlier, this last night wasn't rock bottom. This whole season has been rock bottom. And there's your anchor. Yeah, that feels pretty appropriate, actually. This has been a rock bottom season for the San Francisco Giants. So on that note, 888-957-9570 is the number to call or text. We take any and all Giants takes here on the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap, and just, good Lord, holy hell. What do you Giants fans, call in and yell about this team? Whatever you got. I just don't swear when you do it.
Well, I think, we should try and maintain some level of trying to be constructive in all of this, right? Yeah. We can do sports talk radio and scream at everybody for one of the worst teams in baseball, but that's been done to death. I guess what I'd like to see is how do you get out of this and try and be somewhat, structured as far as what logistically, how do you get better? Now, is it the players? Is it Vitello? Is it Posey, who I know you want to get into and talking about the GM of the San Francisco Giants? But as we just relegate maybe this segment to Tony Vitello, I'm sort of on the fence. Like, I think a part of me thinks that he should not come back and that he's beyond his skis and this is too much for him. Yeah. But I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, if this provides a learning curve for him so that he's a better manager next year, I mean...
are you coming back around on Tony?
No, I'm not coming back around. I'm just like, he doesn't do anything so offensive where I'm like, God, get rid of him. I mean, I'm probably 70-30 that he should go, but there's a part of me that you know, that understands that he was handed a bad roster and that maybe this guy has the right personality. He just needed a year to understand how to do this. But, I mean, these last 6 weeks of baseball, if they continue in this trend, does not bode well for him. Him specifically, the Giants and Buster Posey, that's a whole other conversation. I'm just looking at this as to whether or not he can stave off of firing. And listen, you can lose games, but you got to be more buttoned up than this.
Yeah, and I do think right now I would lean to, I do think that Tony is probably going to come back. You also got to remember, Dan, I mean, the trade deadline was less than 2 weeks ago. I believe it was 2 weeks ago this coming Monday. And you saw this team completely changed almost overnight in terms of what the lineups look. I mean, you look at the lineup last night, Victor Barracoto was batting cleanup. I mean, you got the only real big leaguers that guys are probably familiar with. Jung-Hoo Lee was in the lineup. Eldridge, who did go deep, was in the lineup. Rafael Devers in the lineup. The rest of that lineup, though, I mean, yeah, we've seen bits from Jonah Cox. Oslivas Basabe, it's been an interesting story. Christian Koss, again, it was kind of a rough night for him, but the lineup is just not inspiring right now. And you kind of had to know this was coming after the deals that were made, and you're going to start going through growing pains. And Tony was asked about the growing pains after the game last Saturday, and he was like, it doesn't have to be growing pains. It doesn't have to be painful. I mean, it's baseball. There's going to be growth. There's going to be pain, but there doesn't really need to be growing pains. But there's just going to be. That's just what it's going to be like. That is what happens when you are a team that, let's say, the Giants don't want to say it. We will say it. They are rebuilding. This is part of what that looks like. Now, at some point, Dan, if you want to talk about it being constructive, how does it get better? You're going to see these guys play through their mistakes. Hopefully they learn from their mistakes. Hopefully they get coached up on their mistakes. And you're going to see a slow shift from, instead of, 3 or 4 bonehead moments a game, it'll be 2 or 3 bonehead moments a game, and you'll see an extra positive here or there. The growth will come. This is just part of it. You got to take the lumps early on because, again, a lot of these guys are getting thrust in the lineup on a regular basis for the first time this season or the last couple weeks. There is a settling in period, and I know no one likes to hear that, but we'll see towards the end of this month and into September if we start seeing, small fundamental improvements. That's your sign that things are starting to trend in a positive direction. But again, it feels like we're fishing for positives at this point. Well,
when you say improvements, I guess we're sort of conflating things. Are you talking about someone like Barracoto, or you're talking about these young players catching up to Major League pitching or being able to play at this level, or are you talking about the fundamentals? Because I think you expect these young players are going to struggle, right? Because they're playing against they're being rushed to the majors. The bigger question is, can you play situational baseball? In other words, are you're taught not at the minor leagues, you're taught little leagues, for crying out loud. Think one play ahead. If this ball is hit to me right now, where am I going with the baseball?
Yeah, are you throwing to the right base, as we went over in the meeting before the game?
And to me, that's within your control. The other stuff for younger players, whether they can catch up to a 90-mile-an-hour, off speed or a heater over 100 miles an hour. I mean, that stuff, that's the physical. There's nothing Tony Vitello or the players, to your point, they'll make their mistakes, and maybe this final 6 weeks will be beneficial to them. More importantly is the other stuff. That has to improve. And that's where you're at in terms of these young players. Where are they at as far as playing fundamental buttoned-up baseball? And again, I see that as a direct reflection on the head coach, Tony Vitello.
Well, yeah, it becomes a reflection on the head coach because you want to know, are your players digesting your coaching staff's messaging? Is it getting into the ears, getting into the brains, or is it going in one ear and out the other? When it's that latter, then you start to get worried, are these guys tuning out this coaching staff? And that starts to get concerning because that's when you get to the point where now you're starting to worry about losing the clubhouse.
I don't think anyone's in a position where they're going to tune out the coaching staff.
I would hope not. But
the question is the coaching staff, it's one thing to say, hey, you need to do this, or it's all about, we talk about communication, right? I as a coach, how am I communicating that message to you? Am I looking you in the eye and listen, this is what you do or you don't play here? Or is it just I know Tony Vitello wants his players to think of him as a teammate. It's like, hey, we need to get better. It's all about the messaging. Mm-hmm. It's all about the communication.
And how that message is being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the player development. We always use that word, and that's how you differentiate a good manager from a bad manager. And that's what it is that we need. That's the X factor when it comes to Tony Vitello.
No, and I think part of the way you're going to see that is through the performance on the field. Are you eliminating these small mistakes? Those are the signs you're going to be looking for. And again, last night against a team that is just not good. The Rockies are not a good baseball team. Unfortunately, neither are the Giants. It's just...
They look like it.
No, they look like two sides of the same coin. And again, because they're the two worst teams in the National League. It's the National League's toilet bowl this weekend, Dan. That's what we're getting right now between these two teams. And again, I don't know what the messaging is like from this coaching staff. I mean, they got smart coaches on this staff. You got Ron Washington working with these guys. They're all still putting in the work. I saw him working with Bryce and Jonah yesterday. Didn't see Willie out there. Willie's still battling with the back issue right now. Seems like he's day-to-day on that. In fact, we did talk to Tony about that pregame. So we can maybe hear from him in a minute on that. But as far as the messaging, Dan, I don't know how they're getting it across. I think if you're basing it off the results on the field, though, something needs to change about it.
Well, if something needs to change, then maybe you're talking about changing a manager. Because let me ask you this. You follow this team all year long. If you bring him back next year, is there a feeling that you're associating Tony Vitello with losing at this point? In other words, the minute you hear his voice and the way he does things, it's just like, it's the same vibe.
No.
Because sometimes you just change. Like Chad Tracy with the Boston Red Sox. I don't know. He's an interim guy, but they changed for the sake of change. It wasn't necessarily because he's a better manager. Sometimes you do things just to get the stench out of the room.
Like you think the players are kind of associate Tony
but sometimes you just need to change things because losing and that bug infiltrates a clubhouse, it's hard to eradicate with the same people. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
No, because I think what you're trying to hope to go into next year with is a clean slate. You know what? Last year stunk. Mistakes were made. We learned from those mistakes.
It's got to be a one-off.
Let's try this this is the real year one. This is year zero. This is the get the mistakes out of the way era. Yeah, you don't want to be in this situation, but the reality is you are. Your best hope is coming in the next year is that you've set a tone that, you know what? Let's just flush away last year. Yeah. Burn the tape.
That's the big question. Was that just a one-off this year, just sort of the outlier, or is it systemic? And if it's systemic, then it might be on the shoulders of one Tony Vitello.
Honestly, Dan, it could be one of those complicated situations where there's a little bit of both that's going on. Because, I do think it's just part of it is the bullpen. I think you had a historically bad bullpen this year that no
doubt.
We could have, like Steven Rizzo said, this could have been one of the worst bullpens in franchise history before the season. And I was like, oh, come on, it's not going to be that bad. I think a lot of people were kind of thinking like me, like, oh, there's no way it's going to be that bad. Unfortunately, all those people were within the Giants organization. I don't think you're going to get it as disastrous a bullpen next year, you would think. I think Buster, hopefully, with all the grief he's got.
Rodriguez is going to be back, right?
Randy Rodriguez will be back, but again, I don't know what he'll look like after Tommy John. As far as the rest of this bullpen, Brubaker might have to come back next year with how well he's been pitching.
Brubaker?
But I don't know what this bullpen's going to look like next year. You're assuming it's going to look a little bit better. You're assuming guys like Bryce and Jonah Cox are going to be a little bit better going into next year. You still got Jung Hoo Lee, who looks like he's arrived. He'll be around next year. Hopefully Willie Adames is healthy and able to get off to a better start next year. You're banking a lot of hopes and maybes and ifs, but I do think this year is just such a buzzard luck year that just by flipping the calendar and getting to a new year, you'll see some slight improvement, but this team could lose 98 games, Dan, and still come into next year, and they could still be a 90-loss team. And it's still improvement, 90 losses versus 98, but like...
It's not the improvement you're looking for.
Exactly. What kind of numbers are we talking about here?
I don't think it's call me crazy, I don't think it's a rebuild, and I stand by this. I don't think they're that far away. There was a time just a few years ago where you looked at that team and you're like, yeah, you need to blow this up, because there wasn't one position from Yastrzemski right on through to Mitch Haniger and Nick Ahmed at shortstop. There wasn't one position where you're like, that guy can't come back. When I look at this team right now, Devers is a first baseman who can hit. You're going to have a second baseman in Schmidt, who's legitimate. Your shortstop Adames has proven. Say what you will about Chapman. I don't know who's playing left field. It's not that far. This is not, to me, blow it up and this is a rebuild. And the idea, and I know everybody's sort of like, this is the new mantra, they're 2 or 3 years away. If they're in the playoff hunt next year, I don't know if they're going to eclipse the Dodgers, probably not. But if they're a wild card and ensconced in a wild card seeding towards the latter part of next year, I would not be surprised whatsoever. That's just sort of the fate of Major League Baseball. Yeah. Again, but a lot of that is, yes, you've got to make some changes. Clearly in the bullpen, you've got to do something in terms of your starting rotation. I don't have an issue 1 through 9. Yes, there's going to be some changes, but it's going to be sort of fringe changes. It's not necessarily like you got to blow it up and rebuild. But to me, what's more important, what's paramount, is cultivating the right culture. And right now, this team goes out and expects to lose. Just like when they won 107 games.
They expected to win,
exactly. Yeah. And so whether that's Vitello or whatever that is, you need to isolate it and you need to exercise it as soon as possible.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I don't think that next year their pitching just seems so lost right now, Dan. Landon Roop last night goes 5 2/3 innings, and he did, gets tagged for 4 runs there, and it's the same pattern with Landon all the time, where the first couple innings go really well, and then in the 4th inning, it all starts to fall apart. He was moving pretty smoothly last night. He was pretty efficient with his pitches the first 3 innings. Then he gets into trouble in the 4th, and he was allowed to clean up his own mess last night, and good for him. He was able to get out of it. But Landon Roop's a guy who you're looking at to be kind of a future piece of this rotation, and
he's the number 2 right now.
I am starting to kind of side-eye what we're going to be getting from Landon Roop on a start-to-start basis, because, I asked him last night, like, why do you feel like you struggle after going to the second and third time through the lineup? And he mentioned that, he has a battle plan that he follows the first time through, but he gets off of it second or third time, and that's when things start to fall apart. You notice he also doesn't attack the zone as much second and third time through the lineup. He's good when he attacks the zone. But then when he starts playing around on the edges, that's when you have that 35-pitch 4th inning where you walk the bases low and you get into trouble and you balloon your pitch count up and shorten your start. Like, he needs to turn that around and start getting more efficient innings here and staying more consistent with these starts. And you can say that about a lot of the starting pitchers on this team who are not Logan Webb, who is pitching today. Your rotation right now next year, Dan, it's Logan Webb and it's 4 question marks.
Exactly.
Your bullpen next year, it's a returning Randy Rodriguez. You'll have Matt Gage, maybe Keaton Wynn, maybe Brubaker, but all that is still all question marks. Yeah. They got to figure out their pitching situation. They need to figure out their fundamentals in the fielding situation. And they just need to come in next year with a clean slate and let's just start over. I don't think they're going to be in playoff contention next year. I think you're looking at 2028, best case scenario for an arrive early situation. Let's keep this conversation going on the other side. We are approaching the break here. What's going on with Willie Adames? We'll hear from Tony Vitello on the other side. We're also going to hear from Paul in Palo Alto. And then our big story that we're going to talk about today is Brittany Garoli of The Athletic had an interview with Buster Posey and wrote a big article in The Athletic about it. Yeah, it did not paint him in the best of lights. So the Buster Posey legacy. So that's going to be a topic on the show today. Again, it is the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap, brought to you by Fremont Bank, here for you, here for good.
Think you've got baseball figured out? Put your predictions to work on Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market and official partner of Major League Baseball. Trade on who's winning the division or taking home the Cy Young or MVP and who wins it all in October. As every game changes the season, the markets move too, creating new opportunities to trade. You're trading against other fans, not the house. Download the Polymarket app today and use promo code BLAZE to unlock $20 free for your first trade. That's promo code BLAZE.
Trading not available in all jurisdictions. Check local regulations before trading. Restrictions and eligibility apply.
No one plans to call a lawyer, but a lot of people wish they had sooner. Because after an accident, the clock starts immediately. Insurance companies move fast. They call, they record, they push for answers. And one wrong move, saying too much, signing too early, trusting the process, that can cost you thousands. That's why waiting is the biggest mistake you can make. Call Beam Law first, before you speak to insurance, before you agree to anything, before you risk your case. This just isn't a claim. It's your recovery, your income, your future. Beam Law has recovered millions for clients across the Bay Area and has been named Best of the Bay by SF Weekly 4 times. If you've been injured or lost someone due to someone else's negligence, please don't wait. Call Beam Law now at 415-523-5555. 415-523-5555. That's 415-523-5555 or visit hurtinthebay.com. That's hurtinthebay.com because it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up. Beam Law, they've got your back, Bay Area.
Cruise on out for the Good Guys 39th West Coast Nationals. Over 3,000 classic Good Guys Autocross racing action, a huge automotive swap meet, and so much more. August 21st to the 23rd at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. Details at good-guys.com.
J Vineyards returns as the official sparkling wine of the Golden State Valkyries, continuing its mission to uplift women across industries. J Vineyards and the Valkyries share a commitment to female leadership, ambition, and breaking barriers to support women who raise the bar in sports and beyond. So Valks fans, join us at the game, at home, or at Jay's Tasting Room in Healdsburg for a memorable experience. J Vineyards, raise a glass to excellence, on the court and in every bottle.
Skechers elite athlete OG Anunoby has been making history on the basketball court.
Anunoby tips it in. Unbelievable. What a shot.
He's been balling out in Skechers high-performance basketball sneakers, and the world is noticed. But how does OG train off the court to keep in peak physical condition? Hands-free Skechers Slip-ins Aeroburst. They help prepare OG for the physical demands of playing at a championship level. Get your pair of Aeroburst for only $165 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Now back to the best Giants talk in the Bay. The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
You're right, Risotto. It would be nice if the Giants could, light it up on the scoreboard. You know what was lighting up last night? That K-pop Demon Hunters drone show.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, I have no idea. I was down in the bowels of the stadium listening to Tony talk about the sad state of the Giants, but I saw a video of it, and it looked pretty cool. So I really wish I could have seen that instead of the things that I did see last night, which was just more abject sadness coming from the Giants clubhouse. And I'm saying this with like a smile on my face, like I'm laughing at this team. Dan, I love the Giants. I've been a diehard Giants fan since I was 8 years old. I love this team. I can't be like one of those sad or screaming angry fans. I'm one of those, like, I laugh through the absurdity of it fans. Like, because that's all you can do at this point. Like, if you're one of those Giants fans, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but if you're one of those Giants fans who's just living and dying with every win, right? Every win or loss, you're going to die a lot out there. I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but maybe don't live like that. I don't know. I'm one of those, you just got to laugh through what's going on here because the absurdity of it all is just, it's comical at this point, unfortunately.
You know who's laughing the hardest? Maybe a little quietly or maybe to themselves. Gabe Kapler, Farhan Zaidi. Maybe Bob Melvin's chuckling a little bit.
I think Bob Melvin's, he's definitely doing, the Kermit the Frog thing with his glass of wine somewhere.
Has he ever laughed?
Bob Melvin, do you? I don't. Did Bob ever laugh when we talked to him? No,
is that a possibility with him?
You know what? He kind of chuckled a little bit last year when I asked him about putting Rafi at second base. I asked Bob
because that from time to time. What's
this is something that because this is something that Shasky, I think I've talked about this on the show last week. There was something that Shasky and I had talked about being an option. She's like, what if they did try Rafi at second base? And so I threw that question randomly at Bob Melvin, and he was like, oh, I was not ready for that question. No, probably not. Bob was also, I think, 3/4 of the way out the door there. So I could have asked about playing Rafi at first base. He probably wouldn't have given me a straight answer. So,
well, it's interesting. Why don't we just start there? Because usually when a team is this bad, and none of us expected them to be this bad, whose fault is it? Or do we even play that game? Because instinctively, you want to point fingers, and usually heads will roll just sort of, because somebody's got to lose a job, or sometimes you just need to shake things up at the very top so that you're giving off a PR or marketing perception that we do care and we want to make changes, and we're letting everybody know that this is not acceptable. Like the status quo of the way we're playing baseball is not something we can tolerate.
No, the standard and expectation is higher than this. No, it should be. Like it
whose head would roll then?
I mean, I think the blame game is so systemic, Dan. I think so much of it is on the players and the leadership. I don't look at what Willie Adames and Rafi Devers have done as players this year, and I don't look at them as clubhouse leaders right now. I don't look at them as guys who set a tone of, playing hard, playing fundamentally sound, and taking accountability for your actions. I mean, Willie is fighting an IL stint on to go, because of his back. He doesn't want to go on the IL because of it. And again, I so much appreciate Adames' desire to play, and I don't take that for granted. The best ability is availability, but there also comes a point where it's like, if it's hindering your ability on the field, if it's impacting your swing, if it's impacting your ability to throw a ball from shortstop to second base and not lob it like he did the other day on Wednesday, and then he immediately starts stretching that back out, it has to come out of the game. It's just like, dude, if it's impacting you on the field like this, take 10 days off to get right. So it's lack of player accountability. Coaching has not been great. You put a lot of blame on the coaching staff that's learning. And then you look at the front office. I think you'll look at Zach Manassian because it was apparently his idea to go after Tony. You look at Buster Posey because it was his idea to stick it out with this bullpen here. You go after Greg Johnson, who made a decision to put Buster Posey in this role, or was, agreed to put Buster Posey in this role. I don't think there's anybody who has a larger slice of the blame pie than anybody else. Every slice is equally doled out as far as I'm concerned in this situation.
Well, I think when you mentioned it, just starting with Adames, I think that's not necessarily the player, but doesn't that get back to Tony Vitello? Why is Adames making that call? Why is Adames deciding whether or not he's had enough? I mean, to your point, if you're now a detriment to the team and we're not a good baseball team because of you, well, that's not your decision's been taken out of your hands. Me as the manager, I've got to cut that off at the pass. And I think that's one of the things, should Tony Vitello come back next year, clearly at the top of the list in terms of improvement, is that he's got to control that locker room and he's got to control that clubhouse. And how does he do that? He cannot be deferential to the veterans any longer.
What I like to play, Dan, call it the True Serum game. You can inject someone with True Serum, ask them whatever you want. It's not a very complex game. I would if you truth serum Buster Posey, your truth serum Tony Vitello, your truth serum Willie Adames, and you ask the question, does the coaching staff or does the manager have the respect of his highest paid players? I'd be very curious as to what the answer would be. I'm sure if you asked fans on the outside looking in, do you think that respect is there? I think it's very easy to say no in that situation. That perception cannot be there next year. Simply put, you cannot have this. And again, I'm not saying this is fact. I'm going to bring up the gaps that I don't see here. But there's a perception that I think that the veterans on this team just aren't vibing with this coaching staff. I don't know if it's because of the inexperience of the coaching staff, because so many of these coaches have never been in the big leagues before, whether that's all, why should I listen to you? I'm been in the league for X amount of years. You haven't. I don't know how much that factors into it, but it does create, I believe, a vibe or a feeling that these teams, these highest paid players, are not vibing with this coaching staff, and that does kind of trickle down to the rest of the team.
Oh, it's huge.
To the point where, you have a situation like last Saturday where Landon Roop gets caught stink-eyeing Tony Vitello in the dugout on national TV because he got taken out of a game, and it's this is what happens when the older players set a tone that maybe you don't need to respect this coaching staff. I fear that does matriculate into the younger players who do the same thing. I fear that is the situation we're getting to here. And again, maybe behind the scenes when the games aren't happening, everybody's friends and having a great time. But then when it's time to lock in and be baseball players, it's just not there. Maybe that's how it is. I don't know. But it's not a situation that you want to see play out. Or it's not a perception you want to see play out with your favorite baseball team. Let's go to the lines here really quick, and we'll keep this conversation going on. I don't want to keep Paul on hold for too long. Let's go to Paul in Palo Alto. Paul, how you doing today, man? You're on the roast. The wrap. Ugh.
What's up, guys? I think I'm doing a lot better than the Giants.
I would hope so, Paul.
I agree. There's no point getting upset. I mean, I think they've been irrelevant long enough now to having expectations is kind of crazy, in my opinion. But I do have a little bit of a gripe with what today's conversation in terms of rock bottom. To me, rock bottom means that it's the absolute lowest, and I don't really see it like that. As far as, to me, the Giants are kind of like a restaurant or a business where you walk in and it's not just one thing that's wrong. There's nothing right, and it's hard to blame anyone in the restaurant. So to me, it's the ownership. And everything stemming down from that. And I know Bill Newcomb was removed for seemingly much less than what the Johnsons have done to this franchise in terms of results on the field. And Posey and the Larry Bears and so forth. And to me, it's the fact that we can't even come up with a single name as to who is responsible for this gigantic mess is really the issue. I mean, we could talk about bullpen, rotation pieces, and all that, and they should improve next year just by virtue of luck compared to this year. But Asian, as far as being the head scout for Farhan, and then now being he's a failed GM, in my opinion. What's the point of replacing Vitello if you're not going to replace Asian? Is my point. And so Vitello's not a major league manager in my eyes. I'm just a guy sitting on my couch. But if you're going to fire him and not Asian, well, what faith do we have that Manasian's going to get the right guy? Who wants to work for Manasian that has choices in terms of respected veteran MLB manager? So to me, it's kind of, can we find an architect to be responsible for the entirety of the organization? Or if not, then just let next year play out and then clean house 2028. I don't really see the point in firing one guy and letting everybody else kind of hang out. I mean, what's the sacrificial lamb here? Other than ownership. So I don't know. That's my question for you guys.
Hey, Paul, are you giving Posey a pass?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, he's the guy. It's he's the one that's brought Manasian in. He's the one that's promoted Randy Wynn to his position in player development. But I mean, I don't know. Can you fire a Posey? Is it possible for him to fail upwards and take Larry Bear's position and then replace Posey with hopefully your next Andrew Friedman? I don't know. This seems like a...
Oh, it's a good question. Yeah, it gets muddy Paul, when you're owner.
Honestly, Paul, that's not that crazy of a proposition there. Thank you very much for calling in on that one. I don't know how this ends for Buster. in terms of, let's look at the Minasian part of his call first. I do think it's a situation where I think if a head is going to roll just to please the masses, he might be unfortunately the guy who draws the short straw there, because you gotta provide a head. The people like their heads. But there's also a part of me that thinks like if you moved off of Tony, I feel like you got to move off Buster too. I don't think you can move off one without the other. Like if you move off Tony, I don't know how I feel about Buster hiring another manager right now. But if you move off Buster, no new general manager or president of baseball operations is going to come in and want to stick with Tony. So I do think if you move off one, you got to have to move off the other. And if you move off two of them, then you got to move off all three of them. Once you move off one, it snowballs into you just got to clean house. And that's just what you got to do there in that situation.
I don't think we're there yet. Unfortunately. Or fortunately, however it is that you look at it. And I'm not talking about the record. I understand that head should roll. I just don't think that ownership, whoever's going to make that decision, is willing or brave enough to pull the plug on Buster Posey a year and a half in.
I don't think, and this is where we're going to get into the athletic piece too, that talks about Buster Posey's legacy and how this job is impacting his legacy. Let's say this. I don't think Buster's going to get fired. In that, I don't think you're going to read a press release that says Buster Posey has been fired as president of baseball operations. I think you're going to see potentially one of 3, maybe 4 options play out over the next year and a half, Dan. Option number 1 is going into this offseason, they're going to be like, you know what? Things aren't going well. The farm system's good. Buster, we're going to give you an extension now for the next year or two, and we're going to give you a chance to clean this up. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is Buster's going to go in basically on a lame duck contract next year. Things will go well. And then come August, hey, Buster, we're going to give you an extension. Option number 3 is same thing, comes in, lame duck season. Things don't get better. Come August, yeah, you know what? We're going to go in a different direction at the end of this year. And I guess the 4th option is at the end of this season, he announces, you know what, this isn't working out. I'm stepping down. Tony says, you know what, this isn't working. I'm stepping down. Notice how none of the words I use there are fired. It's going to be, we're going a separate direction, a mutual parting of ways, stepping down. Like, I don't think the word fired is going to be used for any of these guys if they do leave this organization.
Well, we talked about potential culprits. So who do you put the majority of the blame on? If we were to divvy up this pie, is it Buster Posey? Is it Vitello? Is it Minasian?
I am putting it as the 1-2 on Buster and Minasian. Just because they are at the top, the buck has to stop somewhere. And I think they would even admit it themselves that as the leadership of this organization, they are the ones who they should be falling on the sword for how things have played out this year. And that's just taking basic accountability for how things have gone. If this season was a rip-roaring success and they're 72-50 right now, we're, building monuments to Buster and Minasian potentially, because we're giving them all the credit if things are going right. We're giving them all the credit if Tony was the genius managerial hire. We're giving them all the credit if Rafi and Willie are leading the charge this season. So conversely, the fact that Tony's not looking like the greatest of hires right now, the fact that Rafi and Willie are not leading the charge, the fact that this team is actually 50-72, conversely, yeah, if you were going to put it on them all if it was going well, I think you got to put it on them all if it's going poorly. And that's just the unfortunate nature of this business.
Can you see a scenario where management or ownership comes to Buster and says, hey, listen, you've got to do one of a couple of things, but namely you got to get rid of Tony Vitello, and they'll leave that door ajar, meaning, or you got to go. So, sometimes it's either you or him.
Again, I think that could easily play out at the end of the year, Dan.
Yeah.
I can absolutely see that playing out. I don't know if ownership would hold Buster to the fire in that sense, because remember, he is still part of ownership.
Well, that's where it gets a little muddy.
That's where I think that the stepping down makes more sense. But again, it's just, I'll say this because I know I said a little while ago, you can't fire one without the other. You can't remove one without the other. I will amend that a little bit to say that I think there's some wiggle room to where of the 3, Tony doesn't come back and they do give Buster one more chance. But again, you're going to have Buster hire another manager. Right now, I have a hard time wanting to give Buster an extension beyond next year. I know I said that might be one of the options that could play out. it's not an option I'm betting money on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Buster, you're going to hire your second manager after dismiss. You're going to hire a second manager after you dismiss Bob Melvin and Tony Vitello. And then you're going to try and hire a third manager when you yourself are on tenuous ground with 1 year left on your deal. That's Dan, if you're a manager, you're looking for stability. You're looking for a good place where you can go and have success as a manager to where, you could beef up your own. Because no manager wants to take a job and then just get egg on their face. Like, if you're a manager, you're talking to the Giants. First question I'm asking is, are you going to be here in a year? Or are you going to be bringing in players that are going to respect what we're doing here? And those are two very basic questions that I don't know if Buster would have the most fun time answering right now. So, this all said and done, you're almost in a situation where you have no choice but to kind of stick it out with the trio you have right now and just hope things get better. And right now, that's kind of what we're doing. Again, I'm going to reference this article from The Athletic here that Brittany Garoli wrote. And it sounds like Tony is going to be coming back next year. One quote here is some insighting outside the organization fear Tony sorry, wrong line here. Here it is. I look at the job that Tony and his staff are doing. This is the Buster Posey line. And I don't have any reason not to believe that what they're doing isn't going to get us to a place where we're playing more consistent winning baseball. That's what Buster Posey said about Tony Vitello. So that's either a vote of confidence or the dreaded vote of confidence. We'll see. But I think right now this all leans up to they're going to run it back next year and just hope that everyone learned their lesson and hopefully we'll do better.
Yeah, that's kind of tenuous at best.
I have a quick thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's your quick thought?
Well, not a quick thought, just a quick tidbit. Remember, this will not be... But Tony Vitello is not Buster's first managerial decision. Remember, he was the one that picked up the option to bring back Bob Melvin, who he later dismissed. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of 0 for 2 in terms of managerial decisions right now.
And I think he gave Bob Melvin the same sort of vote of confidence just before he canned him 3 weeks later, right?
Exactly. What he did in picking up the option, I do think when he picked up that Bob Melvin option, I think he was trying to do, there was a little bit of a motivating factor there, I think.
Oh.
And that was just like, hey, I'm going to buy in on Bob. I need you guys to buy in on Bob. And it failed. And you saw it happening again this year when they brought up Bryce Eldridge. Buster tried to empower Tony to address the team, and it just didn't really work out. So 2 years in a row right now, Buster's tried to do something to shake things up for this clubhouse, and it hasn't really worked out either time. So let's get into this Athletic piece that Brittany Garoli wrote. And again, it's a fantastic piece, definitely worth checking out. Buster Posey's Giants legacy is on the line as adulation is shifting to anger. Just right off the rip, Dan, just big picture on this article. When you read it, how do you feel like it painted Buster Posey?
It was sort of interesting to hear Buster Posey be that sort of contrite. He usually is not that transparent. So I enjoyed hearing Buster Posey sort of admit his mistakes. But I also think that, to me, I don't necessarily have an issue with his decisions. A lot of them haven't been right, but that's sort of the sword you live and die by as a GM, right? Like, sometimes they're just not going to land. And he admits as much. I thought it was really interesting when he made the analogy from being a player to what it is he's doing now. You strike out 4 times, but you can self-adjust on that 5th plate appearance. But when you make the wrong move, it's the wrong move, and you live with it. But I think that's, to me, what's more concerning, believe it or not, is Pride Night. Like you can't lose the community. You can do things wrong, because I think that's sort of baked in. There's always going to be a high level of risk when you're trading players or whatever it is that you're doing in terms of trying to make your team better. But you can't lose the community. And you know who's the best at that to serve as a perfect example is Steve Kerr. Like, Steve Kerr is not the president of baseball ops, but Steve Kerr doesn't necessarily have to go out of his way to embrace what it is that, the progressive way things are done here in San Francisco. But I think everybody knows that dude's one of us.
Yeah.
And he does a really good job of communicating with the community. And so with everything that's gone wrong between the lines with Buster Posey, to tack that on top of things, that's a toxic cocktail.
Yeah, for me, reading this whole thing, I got a couple pictures from it. One was that it almost kind of painted Buster as a little almost, I don't know if overreactionary, is the right word, or maybe there's an impulsiveness in there. But there's one line in there where he's talking about how, driving over the Bay Bridge every day. Here it is. Yeah, Posey said he decided to take the job after driving over the Bay Bridge nearly every day and catching himself fantasizing about the Oracle Park stands being full in October again. The image drove him past any hesitation. And there's other lines in here where it's like, when he first took over as the part of ownership, he said he had no interest in Zaidi's job. But 2 years later, Posey took the lead in extending Matt Chapman, which was it made it obvious Farhan was on his way out. And I think Buster saw where this organization was under Farhan Zaidi. He saw the fan frustration that was taking place under Farhan Zaidi. And he was just like, you know what? I'm going to fix this. I can be the one to fix this. He almost kind of overreacted to what he saw there and said, you know what? I need to be the one that takes the wheel there. And where I love that intent, I love that energy, it just hasn't really quite played out in a way that has justified that thought process there. And he goes out, he makes the big deal for Willie Adames because it was almost an overcorrection there, because what was the big knock on Farhan? Can't close big contracts. So what does he do? He goes out and he throws the big money at Willie Adames. See, look, guys, we can get the big free agents. The whole thing on Farhan Zaidi was he couldn't pull the trigger on the big trades. What does Buster do in his first year? Pulls the trigger on the big trade for Rafi Devers and takes on that huge contract. Overreactionary, I don't know if that's the word, or he overcorrects a lot. Maybe that's the better word I would use, is so much of Buster Posey's tenure here has felt like such a massive overcorrection from the Farhan Zaidi tenure that it's taken this team in a completely different direction, but still on the path of just not being a good enough baseball team.
But at the time, did any of us really sort of collectively have an issue with his decisions?
No, because I think
you needed a shortstop.
Mm-hmm. You needed a third baseman too.
And Willie Adames was the best guy out there. And he was a free agent at the time. He had just compiled a remarkable season, the last 2 seasons with Milwaukee. So getting Willie Adames, I think right across the board, everybody's like, right on Buster. The fact that Willie Adames hasn't been very good, how much of that can you put on Buster Posey? To a certain degree, the length of the contract is a bit of a concern, but sometimes you have to acquiesce in order to get these guys. Rafi Devers at the time, I think that if,
Oh, Dan, I'll be honest.
We were to revisit
Giants
that.
fans were clapping like seals for all 3 of those moves. We were losing our minds at the end of the 2024 because we knew that Matt Chapman was going to hit free agency and Farhan was going to let this guy walk. And Buster had to step in and get that deal done. And to me, it announced the official end of the Farhan Zaidi era when that happened. And our guy Ruderman was out there. He even asked Farhan, hey, with this deal being done, do you feel like you're coming back that next year? And Farhan completely dodged the question, hey, we're trying to keep this day about Matt. And my thinking is reading it, it's like, well, then why are you up there? If this day's about Matt Chapman, why are you up there if you're not going to be back next year? And so that's kind of what that moment announced. We love the Adames deal. We finally got our guy. He's going to be the culture carrier here. And then with Devers, I mean, the Giants and Dodgers were on Sunday Night Baseball. I barely watched a lick of that game because I was too busy looking at Rafi Devers highlights. Like, we were all soaked by all 3 of these deals. And it's just, but I also think that goes to show, because I think the other thing this thing painted him as, this article, is in over his head. He made 3 deals that I think we as fans would have liked, but there's a reason why we're fans and baseball executives are baseball executives. This game is a lot harder than MLB The Show makes it seem, and it's almost like he took this thing over, tried to make a bunch of moves that you would make on MLB The Show. Video games in real life just aren't the same thing. So let's keep this going on the other side. 888-957-9570 is the number to call or text. Buster Posey's legacy is on the line. How is his performance as president of baseball operations impacting his legacy? We'll get into that on the other side. Brought to you by Fremont Bank, here for you, here for good.
Think you've got baseball figured out? Put your predictions to work on Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market and official partner of Major League Baseball. Trade on who's winning the division or taking home the Cy Young or MVP and who wins it all in October. As every game changes the season, the markets move too, creating new opportunities to trade. You're trading against other fans, not the house. Download the Polymarket app today and use promo code BLAZE to unlock $20 free for your first trade. That's promo code BLAZE.
Trading not available in all jurisdictions. Check local regulations before trading. Restrictions and eligibility apply.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security, For the Bay Area, that means local service including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise is still the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
For families living with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, birthdays are a reminder the clock is ticking. For too long, Duchenne muscular dystrophy has shortened lives. Cure Duchenne is changing that. Visit acurecan'twait.org.
Car salesmen are annoying.
Sign here, please.
Never talk to one again with FlexCar, the first and only month-to-month car lease.
Oh, no.
Get a great car, switch anytime. FlexCar, you drive everything.
You listen to 95.7 The Game for the best sports insights. Now, use that same power to grow your business. When you advertise with us, you're reaching a massive audience of local consumers and business decision makers every day. Let our team help you build a game plan that delivers results. Scale your business and win the market. To get started, visit Advertise with 957 The Game at Odyssey.com. That's Advertise with 957 The Game at AUDACY.com.
That's Elena's family group chat. Someone's always sending a blessing
or starting a poll about the baby shower theme at midnight.
With Real Unlimited from Total Wireless, she's always on the loop, whether she wants to be or not. Switch to Total Wireless Total Starter Plan or higher and get a Samsung Galaxy A16 5G on us. And from now until September 1st, get free activation by skipping the access charge. Go to your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, your own Real Unlimited.
Looking for something fun and free to do midweek? Come explore Welcome In Wednesdays at History Park. Brought to you by History San Jose. Every Wednesday through August, step inside one of our historic buildings, shop unique local finds at the gift shop, and enjoy the charm of this beautiful open-air museum and park. All for free. Take a walk through time at Welcome In Wednesdays, only at History Park, located in Kelly Park at 1650 Center Road. Visit historysanjose.org for details. That's historysanjose.org.
Giants fans, step up to the plate and hit one out of the park for Bay Area patients in need of blood. Stanford Blood Center and the San Francisco Giants have teamed up to save lives, and you can help. During the entire month of August, everyone who donates blood at any Stanford Blood Center location or mobile blood drive will receive a redemption card for a free Giants jersey. Scoring your jersey is quick and easy. Visit stanfordbloodcenter.org/Giants for all the details you need. Help give your fellow Giants fans more days at the ballpark and schedule your donation today.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account.
When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything.
Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Accounts subject to approval. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
America's favorite car show, the Good Guys 39th West Coast Nationals, returns to the Bay August 21st through 23rd in Pleasanton. Check out the coolest hot rods, muscle cars, customs, and more. For info and a chance to win tickets courtesy of Good Guys Car Show, visit 957thegame.com.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55 plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important. Trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, ta-da! If you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it. Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of Essentials Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence Data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Now back to the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
We're back on the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on this wonderful Saturday, August 15th. Weird weather. It's cloudy, it's warm, it's cold at the same time. It's a little humid. Got some El Nino action going on this summer, Dan. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that awful. You know what? We're an hour into the show, Dan. We haven't even brought up the only good news from the week. Giants getting the All-Star game in 2028.
Give me some good news,
I like baseball All-Star
Yay!
games. Not into NBA All-Star games. NFL Pro Bowl, blah.
Pro Bowl's such a waste of time. The NBA All-Star game is such a joke. Remember you and I, we did the show that Sunday afternoon before the All-Star game a couple years ago, and then went home and watched was quite possibly one of the worst NBA programmings I've ever seen with that All-Star game that was at Chase.
The Major League Baseball All-Star game is a fun. I got a story for you. Story time.
Let's go.
On, everybody.
Yay!
So I did an All-Star game, and I remember, please, this is in italics, I was a celebrity bartender, and I had to do these shifts, and I think it was...
So celebrity bartender, capital C, capital B.
Has to be in Seattle.
This
is the 01?
No, this was in... was this? Well, anyways, I remember they were doing shifts with players, and I had a shift with Barry Bonds. And it was Barry Bonds and I that were bartending at this event. I want to say, who was the agent that had the party? Dennis Murad, I believe. You guys remember a guy by the name of Dennis Murad? He was Lee Steinberg's former partner.
Take your word for it.
And anyways, he had this huge party at this event, and it was me and Barry Bonds. And I was a little, I was a couple of cocktails deep, and I remember telling Barry Bonds, I'm like, I remember you at Sarah High School, man. And he was also a little... We actually had fun. He's actually a fun guy if you can get beyond the facade.
So once you get a couple cocktails in him, you get to see the real Barry?
I think you see him in a social way. I mean, he's different. But there's an affable side to that guy, and I saw it. I saw it. So maybe...
I gotta know. What was some of these conversations like? Do you remember? Or are they? Are they radio appropriate?
To be honest with you, neither one of us had bartending experience, and everybody was just... Because he was back there. It was
absolutely.
Just like 20 people deep.
If I have a chance to get a drink from Dan Devone.
I've never worked so hard in my life, man. Just like shucking beers all day.
So you're just serving beers? Did you have to mix any cocktails
up too? Yeah, do a little gin and tonic, but primarily it was beers. And there were a lot of players.
Okay, so it wasn't a complex menu.
Mike Cameron came up to Bonds and said, hey, man, what's up? He's like, you got 4 for me? And Barry said, you don't get to the front of the line just because you're good looking. I don't think he knew who Mike Cameron was. Seriously, Barry's in his own role, was so insular. I think he had any idea Mike Cameron. He's like, dude, you got to get to the back
just
line.
Because you're good looking?
Yeah, I don't care that you're like, because, Cameron was put together, wearing a tight shirt. It was like, not in his baseball uniform. Barry Bonds is sort of oblivious to a lot of that stuff, I think. I think he's just like in his own little world. But
this is besides the point, but I could 1,000% see. And again, you're a guy who listeners know, you swim in the Bay. You told the story a few weeks ago that you swam with Daniel Lurie, randomly, Mayor Daniel Lurie.
Came on the show yesterday, Daniel.
I could 1,000% see you showing up one morning to swim and Barry Bonds being there.
No,
just based on the extracurricular activities that he does, and he's a biker and he bikes in Marin and around the Bay Area.
He's a big cyclist, yeah.
I could see it happening.
I think there's a big leap from cycling to jumping in the Bay. The one guy I think will be the one day I expect to go down there one day and see Klay Thompson. If he was still in the Bay Area. Because I do know he swims.
I can see Gabe Kapler being down there one day. Hello, Dan.
Yeah.
I've heard these swims to Alcatraz are obviously great.
Well, I told him about it.
You said it was rock bottom.
We were at the farmer's market, and I was telling him about the Bay Club.
You're telling Gabe?
Yeah.
Okay, now news story time with Dan. I need to hear a story about how you bumped into Gabe Kapler at the farmer's market.
We were at farmer's market, and this is maybe his first year. And I told him I said, you should go swim in the Bay. He's a fitness freak, right?
Oh, absolutely,
and he ate it up. He's like, yeah, for sure. He's like, what do I got to do? And he's like, is there an initiation? I was like, dude, you just show
initiation.
up.
Yeah, you got to win 107 games.
Then obviously he didn't.
There wasn't ice cream at the farmer's market, right?
No ice cream. Why?
Remember, he was notorious for eating ice cream for the taste and then spitting it out.
I actually asked him about that. He denied that was actually a thing. So,
yeah.
He also might have been trying to save face there. I don't know. There's a lot of mystery surrounding Gabe Kapler.
I'm one of the few guys that like Gabe Kapler.
I enjoyed Gabe,
He was
too.
great.
He was very fun just to chat and interact with.
Yeah.
it was when the game started is when things started getting frustrating. One of my favorite Gabe Kapler stories, aside from the fact that there's a lot of really fun Gabe Kapler stories, one of the ones I always like was he was notoriously late for his pregame scrums. And there was one day we're waiting for him. He's taking forever. And all of a sudden we see this guy in a Steph Curry jersey entering through that left field gate out there, doing a run. And who is it but Gabe Kapler? And it was the first time I've seen him he was wearing a jersey, so it's basically a tank top. It's the first time I've seen his full arms exposed. And I mean, Popeye would get self-conscious around this guy. This guy, he's coming up just like, look at this guy. He is jacked.
Yeah.
And just this dripping in sweat. You could tell he had just done some gnarly-ass run. And just wind sprints, something like that. No, I think he was doing an actual run because he came in through that left field gate out by the Chevron cars.
He was a real deal. Going back to his days in the minor leagues, when he was a player, he was always put together.
But just the most massive biceps.
Can I tell mine real quick? My favorite Gabe story. So I actually am back in my writing.
By the way, wake up, Ruderman.
Back in my writing days for SF Bay, I did a feature on E40 getting a bobblehead. It was E40 bobblehead night. So Gabe Kapler is a big consumer of music. He would go to Outside Lands for his off days, and he would talk about music, and big R&B guy, rap guy. And I asked him, I was like, oh, Gabe, what do you think of E40 getting his own bobblehead today? And he responds, he takes a second, he goes, I'm really happy for Earl. And he calls him Earl. And I thought that was so funny. I had to think of who Earl was, and I realized, Earl Stevens is E40's real name.
There's two beautiful nuggets about that story. First of all, what Gabe Kapler said, but secondly, knowing Pasta, that would stick in his head. If you know Pasta, that's the one thing.
It was great. And he said that Earl was the soundtrack of his minor league summers. So that's cool.
Not to bring it back.
Gabe Kapler does have a very, very good mental collection of rap and hip hop knowledge.
And Sam's turned it off before.
But not to bring it
I failed to do it.
All roads going back to Buster Posey, but it sort of gets back to what I'm saying. And one of the reasons why I pulled from him, because he got this community. He's like the kid of hippies, basically, He
was. No, I remember he told a story of how he would be driving around when his parents would drive him around as a kid, and his dad stopped one day to spray paint a message on a billboard. Gabe, for everyone to say about the current political makeup of the Giants, whether they're too far right, and I'm going to say it, Giants fans, this team's a little bit more conservative than you would maybe want to admit. I say this as a bleeding leftist myself. Gabe was just so far into that spectrum, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter if you're right or left.
Got to win.
If you're not winning, it doesn't really matter. And as much as I did enjoy Gabe and interacting with him, whenever the Marlins are in town, I always go and say what's up to him. It just didn't work out as a manager. And I'm glad that he's having success as, the general manager of the Marlins there. But yeah, it just didn't really work out as a manager. And again, getting back in the conversation at hand today, 888-957-9570, is Buster Posey's legacy under fire? Is his performance as president of baseball operations impacting his overall Giants legacy? And I'm going to pull a quote again from this Brittany Garoldi story, and I hope I'm saying her last name right. We'll have to look that up. There's a quote here at the top. It says, this is from another rival executive who, spoke on the condition of anonymity, said it's either really admirable or really foolish for Buster to take over the job that he's doing, and we'll know which is which when it is over. And that when Buster did take over this job, not just when he came back to ownership. When he came back to ownership, it was awesome. Buster's in the building. We have a smart guy in the building. But when he took over this position, Dan, his legacy as a Giants icon, was solidified. He was minted in the Mount Rushmore of great Giants. There was nothing he really needed to add, but he is still trying to add to his legacy. To which, yes, I do appreciate that he feels like he needs to come back and fix what's going on here. I love that energy. I don't think it's going to last long enough to a point where it'll negatively impact his legacy.
Yeah, we always talked about this.
Yeah.
Was there anybody that booed his introduction last week?
If I were to power rank the receptions last Saturday at the Wall of Fame ceremony, number one, not a shock, Bruce Bochy. and number 2 was Buster Posey. Like, I think the only people who are going to get bigger ovations than Buster Posey when we celebrate former players, Bochy, Barry probably gets that. And then the biggest ovation when it does happen will be Tim Lincecum. Like, that's, I don't think any other players are getting bigger ovations. Although there's those 3, Barry, Bochy, Timmy, I think everybody else is getting a lesser ovation than Buster right now. I don't know if that might change, though, the more things go down this path right now.
Well, at the time of his hire, I was pretty outspoken that it was a bit sort of atypical and unusual that they did what it is that they did, because everything that you laid out when it comes to general managers or president of baseball ops in Major League Baseball, it's not a legacy or a guy that was a former player that everybody respects, because the job is so different from being a player. And when you think about the top GMs in the game today, from Dombrowski to Preller to whoever it is, these dudes are bean counters. They're Ivy Leaguers. And to your point earlier, what it is that you were talking about, that fans maybe felt as though it was good to get Devers, what he did with Adames, but GMs should be on a whole other spectrum, because their player evaluation and weighing money and player development, all that sort of stuff is something we sort of, we don't go there. But that's where these GMs are almost quote unquote nerds to a certain degree, because the things that you have to do to be a successful president of baseball ops, when you look at the resume of Buster Posey, very few of that translates or crosses over in terms of making you adequate for that job. So I always felt as though it was an awkward fit. And then when we tried to marry the two, saying, well, he's such a great player, such a great San Francisco Giant, and he understands, to your point, what it was like to win, and he knows the energy in the players. Well, that's not necessarily how these things are done. And I think that's sort of where it begins and ends with me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's almost like there's a reason why you don't see as many former players doing this job anymore. I think these guys, they know the baseball aspect of it, in terms of you identify the talent. That guy's good. That guy's not good. It's the operations aspect of it, though. That's where I think, as you say, you call them the bean counters, these executives, these Ivy League guys, the Farhan Zaidi types, the guys who never played the game, but they came up in the game. They studied the game behind the scenes. Dave Dombrowski.
But their lens of how they see the game is so different from everybody else.
And I think this is where analytics has really changed the game, because analytics has so narrowed the margin of error that you have, because analytics is all about identifying different ways to make your team incrementally better in any little way possible. And when you do that, you eliminate so much margin for error to where you really got to just overdo it for every little advantage that you get. When you're a former player who maybe isn't as in tune with that kind of aspect of the business, I think you're at a disadvantage there. And that's part of the learning curve that Buster Posey's going through. The baseball parts he gets, it's the operations part that maybe he's still trying to figure out. He makes that big trade for Rafi Devers, and on the surface, we're all celebrating it. But it could very well go down as one of the worst trades in Giants history. I mean, we had Keith Law on the morning roast that week, and he was ripping the trade as being kind of an overly impulsive trade. He kind of wondered, is Buster listening to the people behind him? Because that was just not a deal that would have made baseball sense to inherit all of that money, still sending prospects back. Sure, you got your bat, but at what cost? And now it's just looking like such a disaster of a deal. And I think there's a reason why Buster's the one who rescued the Red Sox, and not one of these other executives who maybe didn't play the game but have so much front office experience already.
Yeah, and another front office person that maybe puts more weight on the back end of the contract, the money, and just what it's going to do in terms of handicapping your team should it not work out, or is to your point, probably putting a much stronger emphasis on all the metrics and all the data, as opposed to someone like Buster Posey, who sees it more from a player's perspective.
Yeah. 888-957-9570 is the number to call or text. How is this job impacting the legacy of one Buster Posey? Is his legacy under fire? And I think an easy comp is the Chris Mullin comp, Dan, in terms of just former player icon running a team, it not going well. But even then, Chris Mullin had a run of success. Chris Mullin did, he did hire Don Nelson, who, rest in peace, Don Nelson, who passed away this last Sunday. Mully hired Don Nelson. Don Nelson then pushed Mully to make the trade for Stack, Jack, and Al Harrington. Mully made that trade, which Mike Dunleavy was a part of, and we got We Believe out of it. But then things kind of fell apart after that. And Chris Mullin, despite that run of success, was not viewed as a great general manager of the Warriors. And now you look at him, and Mully's one of those celebrated figures in Warriors history. No one talks about the GM stint, in part because things have gone so well for the Warriors, over the last 15 years. And maybe that'll be the thing for Buster, too. Maybe he'll step down from this job after a year or two from now, and someone else will come in, the team will get better, and we'll all forget that Buster was ever a president of baseball operations. Like, I don't think that Buster will be around in this job long enough for it to negatively impact his legacy. And by that, I mean, if it really does start to go off the rails, whether the rest of this season or into next year, then sometime middle of next year where it's going to be announced he's not coming back next year or in 2028, and the organization will move forward without him in that role. He'll maybe step back into the ownership role, but then it'll be someone else to come in and clean things up. Like, Buster would have to be here for like 4, 5, 6, 7 years of bad baseball for, I think, his legacy to get negatively affected. And I just don't think he'll be here long enough. The only way that Buster is here for several years is if things start going well. And by that point, it would be enhancing his legacy if that situation plays out.
I would agree with you, but there is Charlotte, North Carolina, and the greatest to ever do it, Michael Jordan. And if you were to say his name out there, that franchise is just like, that guy is the worst.
Yeah.
They don't.
Well, he's stuck around this entire time, though.
Yeah.
If Jordan, stepped down after 3 or 4 years of running things out in Charlotte, is he talked about differently in Charlotte?
No,
I mean, how long has Michael Jordan been out there? A while, right?
Well, he's no longer an owner.
But he was there for a while, though.
No, he was there for nearly a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I to your point, I get it. I'm sort of, I think I lean towards you. I think he's always going to be associated with the dynasty and doing what it is that he did and bringing a World Series to San Francisco. But in the here and now, I don't know if that's necessarily the question that's on the mind of Giant fans is his legacy. It's more about, how do we fix the team tomorrow? How do we fix the team for next season? I don't really care about whether or not I boo this guy at an old-timers game 15 years from now. Like, that'll take care of itself. I think the bigger question at hand is, who's at fault? What do we need to do? Is it Buster? Is it Nazian? Is it Vitello? What is it that we need? Is it the players? What is it that we need to do to fix the team? All the imagery and all the pomp and circumstance of his legacy, yeah, but how do I fix this team as of like yesterday is sort of what I think is more pressing.
Oh, absolutely. Because, I mean, that's in part will define how this all plays out here. Because, again, he's got only 1 year left on his current 3-year deal.
So I guess with that, what I'm saying is, do you get rid of him this offseason?
I don't know. Like,
Pasa, you have a thought
I think just with the lockout as well, adding that uncertainty too, the Giants want to reset things and then have to shut things down and then restart things with a whole new crew getting in place.
How much is, go ahead.
I don't know how that factors in. I'm not saying that they will hold on to Buster and Tony because they're afraid of the lockout or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is I just simply don't know how you factor that in. Like, if you ask them right now, how are you looking ahead to things with the lockout? They're going to tell you that we're going to operate, and all teams are probably going to say this, we're operating as business as usual until we can't. So, like, I don't know how that is. But behind the scenes, though, they have contingency plans. Behind the scenes, they have we're doing this if there is no lockout. We're doing this if there is a lockout. We're doing this if we have to fire people. We're doing this if we don't have to fire people. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what those conversations are like, because I don't. But I got to imagine it is part of their thinking process right now. Risotto, I don't know, how do you look at all this right now?
I would say 2 years is not enough for president of baseball operations, and maybe people would disagree with that, but I think there's a vision in their mind to compete next year. And whether that's a realistic vision or not, it's the vision that the San Francisco Giants have always had. And they're like the Cardinals, how the Cardinals were for a long time, right? And now the Cardinals have realized that it's okay to take a step back, and it's okay to develop a J.J. Weatherholt, and it's okay to bring in guys and take a step back. And the Giants just aren't there, and they have too much money committed to even get to that point for next season and the previous year. So Buster, the contracts he has, they're there, and I don't see them getting out of it, especially with whatever implementations are going to be in with the collective bargaining agreement. But they're kind of stuck having to compete. They have to build around this group, and whether it's a good core or not, which we've realized it's probably not, they're stuck, and I think Buster's stuck with them.
And I guess if we really want to talk about negative impacts on Buster Posey's legacy, let's say that he does step down after this year. Let's say he steps down after next year, however you want to parse it out. New group comes in. Let's say this current group of young guys actually starts, turn into good baseball players. Some of them who were developed under Buster, some of them who were developed under Farhan. Dan, the way I operate is if you're the president of baseball operations, you get credit for everybody who is underneath you, whether you drafted or acquired that guy or not. Let's say the next guy makes this team a good baseball team, but they can't get better because they're stuck with Devers and Adames eating up lineup spots in roster space. Then down the line, I can kind of see Buster's legacy not being tarnished, but it's going to be a reminder of the negativity that was felt around his time as president of baseball operations. If you're building up this young, talented team, but you got these two albatross contracts that are just kind of hindering it, that's where I can kind of see this turning into a negative spin more so on Buster's time here after the fact.
See, I think his legacy, and I think that Buster Posey as the president of baseball ops is going to be defined not by the mistakes that he made in getting Adames and getting Devers, because mistakes are made by general managers. It's just the world they live in.
Oh, absolutely.
It's what they sign up to do.
Better, more qualified men than Buster Posey have failed spectacularly at this job.
So it's not that, but how do I get out of this? Like Buster Posey, the biggest challenge for him was not trying to find Devers they can hit. It's just too many years and it's too much money. And I also think, getting back to our point, when you talk about the disrespect of Vitello and Vitello losing the locker room, I think a lot of it started when he refused to come out of the game for a pinch runner. And you talk about how younger players see this and it's a trickle-down effect. I think that has a huge effect on this baseball team. The question now becomes for Buster Posey, it's not that I made a mistake, but how do I rectify that? Now, if he can get out from underneath Devers and it's not as much damage as a lot of us are anticipating, well, then I think I look at this entirely differently. He's admitting a mistake, but he's willing to move forward, as opposed to saying, Devers is here, he's bigger than I am, there's no way of moving that contract. We're stuck. Things like stuck and albatross, that's not what you want to hear when you're talking about the future of a team.
No, you're right. We'll keep this conversation going on the other side, Dan, because you bring up the money aspect of it. There was a line in there that I think completely captures who or how the Giants should be operating, what team they should be emulating. And absolutely, if they did do this, I think it would solve a lot of things. And another problem with Buster Posey that we'll get into is just what are the defining moments? The problem is all the defining moments are chaotic moments. So we'll get into that. A couple other nuggets, though, before we get to the break. One's Giants-related. One is not Giants-related. The Giants-related one, this is per Shayna Rubin just a few minutes ago. Matt Chapman says his core muscles were torn off the bone on both sides. He's been dealing with the pain since the April series in Cincinnati on and off, but that play in Arizona was the last straw. So Matt Chapman's been dealing with adductor issues going back to April. Yikes. That's not what you want to hear. And then the non-Giants nugget, it's a Warrior nugget. New Orleans Pelicans have decided to waive Jordan Poole. Sources indicate...
Do not tell me.
Sources indicate
say it.
The Golden State Warriors, Miami Heat, Sacramento Kings are among the teams monitoring Poole as he becomes available on the market. Pool party! Let's bring it back. Brought to you by Fremont Bank. Here for you, here for good.
So what are you reading?
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year. What about those new high dynamic range TVs?
They got the highest scores of all, but their prices are really high.
Did you check online?
Yeah, their prices were about the same.
Well, there's one place where we can get a hot deal on those top-rated models.
Where?
At Video Only. Check out the ratings on TV stores.
I see. Video only scored better than the others.
So, if you want the best deal on the best TVs,
then we should take our TV ratings and head over to top-rated video only.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
Hey, it's Dan Dibley. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better place to be than Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform. Right now, the team in New York that happens to be in the American League is trading at a 10% chance to win it all, meaning a $100 trade will pay out $927 if they are the last team standing in October. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Download the Kalshi app and use code DIBS, DIBS, to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI. Kalshi. You can trade on anything. 18 and over only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices and values and available markets may differ from those mentioned here. For more information, go online to kalshi.com/regulatory.
Is your client ready to build a functional outdoor space? Choosing Golden State Lumber and Showroom means faster deliveries and finishing your project on time and on budget. When it comes to decking, TimberTech stands out. It's trusted by contractors for its unbeatable quality, and with industry-leading warranties, it's clear why TimberTech is the top choice. TimberTech, the #1 brand in premium decking. Start at goldenstatelumber.com. Golden State Lumber and Showroom. When you succeed, we succeed.
Hi, I'm David.
I'm Chris.
And I'm John. We are the three brothers who own Jack's Restaurant and Bar.
And we are here to...
Not again. That's my line.
That was my line.
Boy, stop it.
Mom? What are you doing here?
Have you heard your commercials? They're terrible.
That's not our fault. You taught us how to cook delicious food.
Using only the freshest ingredients.
And to treat all our guests like family visiting our home. But you didn't teach us how to write catchy radio spots.
They remember that and get back to work.
Yes, Mom. Jack's, serving delicious breakfast, lunch, dinner, and drinks the way our mom taught us.
ilovejacks.com.
Golf, community, giving back. Join Pettinelli Financial Partners for the 11th annual charity golf tournament benefiting the Autism Society San Francisco Bay Area. Gather your friends, clients, or colleagues for a memorable day on the course while supporting programs and resources for local individuals and families affected by autism. Whether you're signing up a foursome or becoming an event sponsor, your participation helps make a meaningful impact. Visit PettinelliFP.com today to register and learn more. We look forward to seeing you on the course.
Think you've got baseball figured out? Put your predictions to work on Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market and official partner of Major League Baseball. Trade on who's winning the division or taking home the Cy Young or MVP and who wins it all in October. As every game changes the season, the markets move too, creating new opportunities to trade. You're trading against other fans, not the house. Download the Polymarket app today and use promo code BLAZE to unlock $20 free for your first trade. That's promo code BLAZE.
Trading not available in all jurisdictions. Check local regulations before trading. Restrictions and eligibility apply.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Make every swing count. Join Pettinelli Financial Partners for the 11th annual charity golf tournament benefiting the Autism Society San Francisco Bay Area. Register your foursome or become a sponsor today at PettinelliFP.com.
Now back to the best Giants talk in the Bay. The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
We didn't win the baseball game. We didn't score runs, and we lost the game, and that is Giants baseball. There is a lineup for today. Would you like to hear it now? Got Drew Gilbert leading off. I'm not going to sing the whole thing. That would be horrific to listen to. But we do have a lineup, Dan. Drew Gilbert leading off in center. Rafi Devers batting second D and at DH. Bryce Eldridge batting third.
Bryce Eldridge!
The future and everything for the next 15 years. Everything for the next 15 years.
I don't have that one for some reason.
Really? Oh, that's unfortunate. Jung-Hoo Lee, Jungie, batting cleanup today in right field. Olivas Basabe batting fifth at second base. Drew Kavanaugh in the squat. He'll be batting sixth. Turner Hill making his big league debut. He'll be batting seventh and in left field. He's a left-handed hitter. And Ruderman was telling us he's got to have like 40 people in the stands today. Turner Hill.
Is he local?
40 friends and family. I'm not sure, Risotto, if you want to Google that really quick.
I think he's from the Midwest, but a 26-game hitting streak in Sacramento.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
and
he's
it's
coming in hot.
What do you think of Basabe? What do you think of Basabe?
He's been pretty solid so far.
Yeah. He looked. If ever there was a guy that looks like a second baseman, like his body type, he's such a. Well, he hit when he first came up. He's sort of mellowed.
Give him some run. You know, I want to see it's after seeing the hot stretch that Tyler Fitzgerald went on a couple years ago. I try not to get excited about a quick hot stretch there. I miss Tyler Fitzgerald. He was
Turner Hill, Marietta, Ohio.
That stinks to come from Ohio. Buddy Kennedy batting eighth at third base. And Christian Koss batting ninth at short. And, of course, the ace, Logan Webb, on the hill. But that is your Giants lineup today.
If your name is Buddy Kennedy, isn't it just imminent that you're going to play Major League Baseball at some point in your life?
That is a pretty solid baseball name. Buddy
Or run
Kennedy.
for office.
That's true. I don't know if you want. I don't know. It doesn't really work well when Kennedy's getting into politics these days.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Speaking of ownership, now that Kushner's little brother owns the Lakers, just another reason why to hate that team.
Oh my God, that was such a weird. So since you bring that up, because the Lakers were owned by Mark Walter, who super stupid rich guy, who also is part of the Dodgers ownership group. Yeah. And I don't know the full details on this.
Put that whole thing together.
Yeah, the Guggenheim group. But this guy Walter. He bought the Lakers last year for $10 billion, sold them this year for $12 billion. He's under federal investigation by President What's-His-Name's Justice Department for like a $16 billion loan fraud, something like that. But the first big question we kind of have, the sports angle of it, is what happens with his ownership stake of the Dodgers? Does he potentially put the Dodgers up for sale? And where it gets really fun, Dan, if you really want to have fun with this as a Giants fan, apparently Shohei Ohtani and Andrew Friedman have the ability to opt out and leave the Dodgers if the team is sold. So, Mark Walter, sell the team, sell the team, sell the team. Okay, I'm just going to.
And I have one development on that too.
Oh,
not a development.
Not
a development. Sorry,
Not a
that
development.
was not a good word to use. I regret using it.
A nugget, a nuggy nug.
So what was uncovered in this investigation is that Mark Walter had a stroke during the World Series, I believe in either 2024 or 2025. And there's people inside his companies and organizations that don't believe he's fit to serve anymore as the managing partner of the Dodgers.
Oh, that's actually
and also,
really
by the way,
unfortunate to hear.
Josh Kushner just bought into the Giants ownership group too.
Yeah,
he really?
He's a minority owner.
That was last year, right? His investment firm
Earlier this year.
Oh, it was earlier this year. Okay.
And I think the Walter selling the Lakers, that has to be a record for the shortest stint because that deal was finalized last October and he's already selling the team.
Yeah, I was just going to say, weren't they just sold?
I mean,
Apparently they were.
Made a quick $2 billion in less than a year owning the Lakers. I mean, that's
that's why if you're Shohei Ohtani, and I'm not saying that the Dodgers are going to go bankrupt any time, but that's why deferring money is always a scary thing to do. You never know, man. You never know if any of us will be here next week. You know,
Dan. You know, the only thing.
Felisa.
The only thing that keeps me going is the knowledge that hopefully one day that contract will be so much worse than Bobby Bonilla Day that it'll just cripple the Dodgers into the just next dimension. Oh, that would be great. Except, unfortunately, they're going to have 6 World Series championships, and they're going to have fully colonized the entire country of Japan by that point. So the Dodgers are just going to keep printing money. I'm pretty sure they're going to have their own mint at some point in the next
Frank
few years.
McCourt couldn't make payroll, the former owner of the Dodgers.
He's in the news again for something.
Oh, God, what did he do this time?
I think he owns a soccer team now, but he made his money off parking garages. And then,
of course, it's always parking with that guy. Weird how that works out.
Had a very high-profile divorce that resulted in him being a disaster.
As we kind of think about, where society went wrong and where it all started to fall apart.
I can't get over Kushner owns the Giants.
If you could get in a time machine and go back and undo the moment where society started to fall apart, maybe if there's a marriage counselor out there, get in your time machine, go back in time and maybe keep Frank and Jamie McCourt together so they keep owning the Dodgers and don't sell it to the Guggenheim Group. And they just keep running that team in just perpetual mediocrity. And then Shohei becomes a Giant and we all live happily ever after and all that fun stuff. Maybe that's the move that we need to make. That's the thing in history we need to go back and change.
Do you think there's a good enough marriage counselor to keep Sharon Stone and Robert De Niro together in Casino? Your random thought of the day?
Ooh, I was not expecting a Casino reference right there.
We can move on
Let's
that
say,
note.
hey, if you think you're a good enough marriage counselor to make it happen, get the time machine and then go back in and save the world. That's all we got to do. Can Buster Posey save the Giants? Boy, would that be great for his legacy. And we're reacting to the Brittany Garoli piece in The Athletic from this past week titled, Buster Posey's Giants legacy is on the line as adulation is shifting to anger. And there's a line, Dan, as we're talking about, how can Buster Posey fix this team? And there's a fun little line that I really like because it talks about how, despite the struggles of this season, fan interest isn't one. The Giants are averaging over 36,000 fans a game, which is the 6th best in baseball through the first week in August. With the A's departure from Oakland, they're the only team in the Bay Area. The Giants ranked 5th highest in Forbes' most recent MLB franchise valuations and are one of just 3 teams who own their own stadium. And then this quote from a veteran agent, they should be the West Coast Yankees. They have too much money to be this bad. And I could not agree more, Dan. This is a stupid rich organization. They got 30 or so people on that board. All those people got their own little yacht that they can hang out on, which means that you're very, very rich. And then you got the Kushner money now flowing in, which as dirty and gross as that is, if you can use that to buy your way out of some of these contracts, heck, if the money's green, I'll take it. I don't care how dirty it is at that point. That's called awful baseball logic right there, folks. But Dan, this team does have the financial resources to essentially buy out of these contracts here. And I love spending the money of billionaires that I don't have. That's one of my favorite things to do. This is on the part of you start looking at the ownership group as a whole beyond Buster Posey. And you ask the question of just, is ownership willing to spend their way out of this mess that they're in right now? The Yankees never go through downturns like this because they're not afraid to just eat money if they need to. The Red Sox, there was a period where they would just eat whatever money they needed to. I remember the Jacoby Ellsbury deal. I think they ate a fat chunk of that money just to get rid of him. I think the Dodgers have all sorts of dead money on their cap sheet as well. Rich teams can eat bad contracts and still keep going. This notion that they, and again, this is me spending a billionaire's money. The idea that you can't eat half of a Rafi Devers or a Willie Adames contract when you are a team that is this wealthy, that doesn't really sit well with me as a fan. And I think with other Giants fans, it should be the same. When you have the money to spend to make things easier for your team, but you're not doing it, as a fan, that is frustrating.
Yeah, and I think this gets back to what it is that I was saying earlier, that it's not about the trade for Devers or where you're at with Chapman and Adames. I think, as the president of baseball ops, you're going to make mistakes because you got to stick your neck out there and you got to be risky and you got to push the edge of the envelope. But it's how do you get yourself out of it at the end of the day? That's now really sort of the challenge for Buster Posey. And I don't think it's the New York Yankees that are a good comp, but I think it's the other team in New York that you should keep an eye on.
The Mets.
It's the Mets and because the Mets are going to unload half of those guys.
Oh, and Steve Cohen has more money than
God. Yeah, and so they'll do it again and probably get 5 more free agents that are bust because
We'll
they
give
don't
them Rafi
screw things
Devers.
up. But the point being is that that the Mets aren't going to stay complacent, that they're going to unload guys and do this all over again. So yes, the Giants need to be aggressive in that regard. So that's why I don't accept the sort of like, well, you've got this ball and chain that you have to deal with in the big three. I don't accept that. I think you can get out. If there's a will, there's a way. And again, this is where Buster Posey defines who he is. You made a mistake, that's fine. Now get creative and get Devers the hell out of town and hand the keys to Aldridge and use that money and go get some pitching. Like if you want to spend $97 million or $254 million on a guy for the next 9 years, get somebody in the pen or get us some guys in the starting rotation. Mistakes happen, but now how do you get out from underneath where you are?
Like you look at like a situation with the Brewers, and they threw a bunch of money at Christian Yelich and Brandon Woodruff. Woodruff's injured with a shoulder injury right now, and Yelich hasn't been a productive baseball player in years. The Brewers are still having success because they're just so good at drafting and developing talent, but they can't hold on to their great talent for a long time. It's why Willy Adames is not still there. It's why they had to trade for Freddie Peralta a couple of years ago. It's partly why they probably didn't make any massive swings for like a Tarek Skubal at the trade deadline because they did though. Not for Skubal.
Didn't they go after Skubal pretty hard, the Brewers?
Not hard enough.
Or Tampa Bay, I'm sorry.
Tampa's another one. But I bring those teams up because when they get a deal like a Yelich deal that they can't move off of, they got to figure out creative ways to be good around it. And they've been able to do that.
Yeah.
Look at a team like the Orioles as a negative example. Remember, they signed Chris Davis to that $150 million deal. He became an absolute potato. They had no way of moving off of him. And that deal crippled that organization for years because they weren't creative enough to work around it. The Giants are not those organizations. They are not a team that just needs to eat contracts and be creative around them. They are an organization with the financial wherewithal and ability to, as we've just said, move off of those deals and figure out other ways to bring in other guys. And then, you're going to have to eat some of that money. But they're not an organization that just have to sit around and figure out ways to work around these deals. They can take action and just move off of them. Again, though, this is spending other people's money. They have to make the decision to want to do that.
They can take the hit, but will they is the question at the end of the day.
Yes, and then you're getting into the philosophical conversation of if you are an owner of a sports team, what I guess is your end goal? Is your end goal to win? Is your end goal to make money? I think a lot of these owners, their end goal is to make money. And a great way to make money is to not waste money. And if you're trying to get a good return on investment, eating $100 million to send a player to go play elsewhere, that's just not a business decision that most business people are willing to work with. But there's difference of the business of business and the business of baseball. In the business of baseball, you're dealing with people and fans' emotions and expectations there. And the people who are paying to see your product do not care about what your billionaire financial situation is. They see a guy on a team who shouldn't be here and a group of people with the money to do something about it and nothing's being done. And if you're a fan, like I am, like all the other Giants fans at the ballpark are, the 38,000 who were there last night, I'm seeing an organization with the resources to do something, but they're not. Simple as that.
And part of the reason is because of what it is that they've been able to build here. And that is the fact that you're still putting butts in the seat and you're one of the worst teams in baseball. That's not good. I mean, it's good for them because to answer your question, are they there to make money or make your team better? They're all there to make money. Because let's not forget where these guys came from. They're all business tycoons.
Absolutely.
They're not baseball fans. They are to a certain degree, but these guys are business people. And at the end of the day, it's about profit margins. It's about revenue streams. And that's where they live, right? That's how they cut their teeth. So it's about making money. And what's scary is that if you're still getting 36, 37,000 for this team, what's the incentive for me to change? It's the Chicago Cubs for decades. Remember the lovable losers? Mm-hmm. You would go out there. It was like a bar. Seriously, you would go to Wrigley in the middle of the afternoon and you would drink and the place would be sold out and people would just go to Cubs games because that's what you did. It was fun. And Cubs ownership was like, they were never good. They never went out and made a trade. They never went out and got free agents. Like, why?
Yeah.
We're making money hand over fist. Regardless, why do we have to spend it? And I don't know if we've reached that point with the Giants, but when you're selling out and you're a last place team, then going to ownership and saying, spend some money.
I do think you are kind of seeing that happen with the Giants because I mean, even last night, every Friday night, or every game in general, you look out at the left center bleachers beyond that, 391 sign, and every night without fail, you're going to see a large swath of college kids going tarps off. And you go out in that outfield bleachers on a Friday night, it's a very young crowd, high school, college age kids. Like, you're seeing Oracle Park become a fun hangout spot. Like, this is one thing we talked about in the morning roast a lot. Like, this year has really kind of driven home how great it is to be at Oracle Park for a day game, a night game, an afternoon game. It's an enjoyable place to be. Like, good on the Giants for having this absolute jewel of a ballpark. Like, this isn't breaking news. Like, Giants got a nice ballpark. We've known that forever. But it's really showing this year how great that ballpark is because of people going to it. But to your point, though, Dan, yeah, it's a very real fear of complacency. That's what it is. Are the owners complacent with, we got 38,000 people on a Friday night to see the two worst teams in the National League play one of the most fundamentally unsound baseball games you'll ever see. And you're going to have another 35,000 or so people today. And then you're going to have 40+ thousand people tomorrow showing up to get one of those Hello Kitty Funko Pop bobbleheads that are given out tomorrow. Like, just because you have fans showing up, though, does not mean you're succeeding as a baseball organization. You might be succeeding as a business organization, but not as baseball. And this is why I love Joe Lacob so much as an owner. I know he's going in the crosshairs right now because he hasn't, brought in every single free agent ever this summer. But Joe Lacob is an owner who understands the best way to make money as a sports owner is to win. If you do that, all the money will come later. This whole notion of ownership that just wants to get attendance, sell merchandise, make money, and all those things around the margins, don't be that kind of owner. Be the kind of owner that understands that when you win, everything else gets taken care of. Whereas with Giants ownership, I just see a level of complacency sometimes that I don't know if they have that same hunger that Joe Lacob has.
I once had a conversation with Mark Cuban about that very point, and he disagreed with me because I said winning is, at the end of the day, if you want to sell out and you want people in your stadium or in your arena, you got to win, right? And he said, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Interesting.
And he believed, and I guess the Giants are testament to that. If you get it right, like the Giants did with their stadium, and you create the right atmosphere, it becomes a place of destination at the end of the day. Sort of like Fenway, it's a place we go as a tourist. If you're in the financial district, let's go watch the Giants play. Let's go look at the Bay. We'll talk business. It becomes not necessarily about the team, but about visiting a venue and having fun. And they've been able to, let's just put it in, how about this? What if they were still a Candlestick? Do you think you're getting 35,000 people going out to the Stick in this weather to see two of the worst teams in baseball?
No, you're not.
So from a business standpoint, what they're able to create with that stadium is sort of where a lot of this begins and ends. Because, that stadium is paid for, man. So that just means that you are printing money. And it's now become not about the team, but rather about a destination, just like any other iconic spot in the Bay Area, right? Or in San Francisco, down by the water. And they've been able to establish that. Again, is it at the detriment of the fans as far as improving the team?
Oh, absolutely. Because what you're doing there is you're changing the finish line. That's what you're doing there. The finish line is the bottom line, basically. If you're a 102-loss team, but you're still making money hand over fist, are you successful? I think some owners might say yes. If you lose 102 games, but you're, is the term in the black when you finish with more money than less money?
Yeah.
But you're deep in the black, most owners would be like, okay. I mean, John Fisher on line one. How many owners these days would lose 102 games, be deep in the black to where they're making a lot of money, but not be satisfied? Like Joe Lacob, I think, is one of those owners. Like, Joe Lacob's not going to be happy with his on-court product from the Warriors for the next few years. Because even though that the Warriors are making a lot of money, the product in the court's going to be full of losses. That's not what Joe Lacob likes. And that's going to lead to changes at some point down the line. With Giants ownership, though, again, where's their finish line? Is their finish line at the money's looking good, or is their finish line at we are raising a trophy? And that's where I think, I get what Mark Cuban is saying there, is we want to create a destination. But then my thing is just I think Mark Cuban doesn't really understand where the finish line is for sports. sports and running a team, it's different than other businesses because there's outside emotion attached to it. Like a company like Google, who roots for Google? You know, like no one's wearing Google jerseys. No one, like Google's bottom line does not mean anything for me on the outside looking in. I'm not rooting for Google to win championships. Like that's not what it's about. But with sports, that's what it is. Like you have people who are rooting for a certain outcome that has nothing to do with the ownership's desire to make money. And I do think as an owner of a franchise, you need to respect the fact that you are managing an entity that millions of people have an emotional investment in. And I do believe, and you call me naive, say, Sam, you were born yesterday for believing this, but I do believe it is the owner's responsibility to cater to that emotional investment more so than their bottom line. I don't know, that sounds ridiculous to say, but at the end of the day, this is sports. There's an emotional aspect of it that has to be acknowledged and respected.
It's sports, but it's also run by business people, not sports people.
I know.
You're a sports person.
I know I'm fighting an uphill battle on believing that. I'm very well aware of that.
But the danger is that if you're going to live in the black and not be a good baseball team, at some point the well will run dry at some point.
It's not sustainable.
No. And at some point, either something bigger or prettier comes along, or your team just is so bad that the fans finally catch on what it is that you're doing and they stay away. I mean, you can only ride that horse for so long.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in Fenway, again, you bring up that as an example, like great destination for so long. Red Sox had lots of up and down periods and didn't win a lot, though, during that time. You know, you want to talk about another great destination, Pittsburgh. A beautiful ballpark, great location. Looks like a great place to go watch a game. That is not a successful organization right now. They're having a good year this year. Overall, that's not a successful organization because they haven't won enough to where filling up that ballpark is worth it. And Mark Cuban, very well-respected owner in the NBA circles, he only put together one championship. You know, as an NBA owner, that's not a whole lot. You know, in the NBA, it's measured in championships, not championship. Like an owner can win one championship in the NFL, or like if Jed York hosts a Lombardi, he's minted for life. You know, like Larry Bear got, elevated status for hoisting one World Series trophy, more so when he hoisted two more. But in the NBA, you got to hoist multiple trophies. Cuban only did the one. When you're saying that he focuses more on things being a destination than winning, that's a big reason why you only got that one championship then. Because if your focus was more on destinations than winning, then what you're going to get is a destination. Now the Mavericks are, he's sold and the Mavericks
I should clarify that. He wasn't telling me that he doesn't want to win. He was saying that you don't have to define the popularity or a good product by winning. He's like, I can still create a good atmosphere for whether I'm catering to family and kids or whatever it is, and put people in the seats and still be working at developing a winning product, but not winning at that particular moment.
I see. Okay.
So
that makes it a little bit more clear. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's on me. He wasn't saying that, forget about winning. I don't want to win.
But I still think to your point, though.
But his whole thing is his emphasis, like you still can win, or you can still be successful and not have a winning product.
See, that's where I would maybe start to differ on that, because as you just said, that well will dry up. You can't be crap with a good baseball park.
Well, I think keeping in mind, to finish that, Cuban would say, but aspiring to win all along. But if your product at the time isn't winning, you can still, it's not an excuse. His point to me was that's not an excuse for you as an owner to not still be successful in terms of putting people in the seats.
Mm-hmm. I see. So not win. Okay, yeah. But I mean, that's at bare minimum, you want to get people in the seats then, basically. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but you still want to appease the fans by trying to make your team, like the New York Mets are terrible this year. But Cohn and Stearns, they did everything they could within their power, right, to make that a winning franchise, right? Like they signed everybody. Like you can't blame them. I mean, it was terrible decisions, speaking of Peralta. I mean, all those guys that they signed, it just didn't work out, but they spent more money than anybody.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, they're not winning. So to Cuban's point, that's not an excuse for people not to still go see the Mets play this year, is what I think he was trying. He says you want to create the environment as, quote unquote, being a destination, even though you're having an off season.
I got you. All right. Let's finish this conversation up on the other side. We're going to keep talking Buster Posey's legacy, the defining moments of Buster's tenure.
What's that thing out on the couch?
I don't know. I think we're going to bring it in, though, in a little bit. We're going to get live in studio Ruderman replay at 11:30. And who knows what that's going to be like.
Up first.
We're going to twist the camera around. We're going to put the camera on Steven Risotto, too. We're going to have a crazy four-way conversation on this show because why not? Bosses are out of town. Who's going to stop us? That's a very dangerous question to ask. Brought to you by Fremont Bank, here for you, here for good.
You'll pay for this.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Thinking about upgrading your sleep? Now is the time to shop Sleep Number. Trusted by millions for nearly 40 years, Sleep Number offers superior comfort, personalized adjustability, temperature benefits, and value that is unmatched in the industry. And right now, during the Sleep Number Labor Day sale, all mattresses are on sale. Invest in your sleep and experience firsthand Sleep Number's personalized comfort. Stop by a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com to learn more.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years guaranteed? Now through August 24th, new Xfinity customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, it keeps you protected from online threats. And get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
This summer, the Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich and Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite are back at Chick-fil-A.
Let me tell you about the Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite. It's bright, it's bubbly, it's back.
The Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich, it's so rich, and you can choose between the original or the spicy filet.
Ooh, boy.
And then you got those pickled jalapenos tucked right under the filet, and then just to top it all off, you've got a little honey drizzle right on top.
Okay, now I'm a pimento fan.
And I'm feeling the dragon fruit.
Which fan favorite will you choose? Real customers paid for their testimonials.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What do parents think of back to school at Staples, where supplies start at just 25 cents?
Staples has the latest laptops with up to 40% savings.
I may hug the cashier.
So embarrassing.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's a wonderful time at Staples with up to 40% off select tech. Staples.
That was easy.
Visit Staples today or shop online and in the app. Ends 9/12. Exclusions apply.
Back to school season is here, and Dollar General has everything you need to start the school year strong. Don't forget to grab a pair of bright yellow sunglasses from the Yellow Glasses Project for just $2. Every purchase makes a difference, with 100% of proceeds helping support teachers, classrooms, and nonprofit organizations working to improve reading and literacy skills across the country. Stop by Dollar General today and shine bright with the Yellow Glasses Project, available now at Dollar General. The Yellow Glasses Project is a program of the Dollar General Literacy Foundation.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM and HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries. Always live on the free Odyssey app and now coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. Now back to the best Giants talk in the Bay. The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, final hour of this edition of the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. In about a half hour, we're going to bring Steven Ruderman in studio. And who knows what happens there. Get the live Ruderman replay.
Gonna wake him up.
We're gonna uncork all of his hot Giants takes, and yeah, he's gonna have a lot, and they are gonna make. Our YouTube chat, Dan, goes nuts when you and I talk, or when our guys during the week talk. I'm very curious to see how our YouTube chat reacts to Steven Ruderman's hot Giants.
So I have a question. Who has the best baseball knowledge when it comes to the San Francisco Giants at 95.7 The Game? I put you at the top. But Shasky is kind of could give you a run for your money.
I think it's a tie between Shasky and I, with Willard right up there as well.
Willard, really?
Yeah, I say that's your trifecta of Giants talk right there.
I didn't know Willard knew his
Willard. He grew up in the whipping winds of Candlestick. Yeah. So okay. No, he's very tapped in Giants fan. So I would say,
would you bet on yourself if the three of you had some sort of a quiz?
Yeah, Shasky thinks he knows everything of the Giants, but
I guess see, now that might be a little hole for you there, though. It might be a wart on the Lubman resume, because if you have to go back to Candlestick, maybe some of these things will predate you when it comes to Willard.
Oh, no, I know my Giants history.
Okay.
Yeah, I read all sorts of Giants history books as a kid growing up.
Let's do Jeopardy.
That would be fun.
Would Pasta be in the conversation?
Bring Jockberty back with Whitey Gleason.
Would Pasta be in the conversation for
Risoto's pretty tapped in, too. Yeah,
I feel somewhat confident.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Put him on the...
How can we do this one day?
We'll have to figure out how we do that at some point.
I know Shasky is, maybe just because he's so loud, that he stands out as far as the guys knows his Giants baseball, certainly.
He's definitely the loudest.
Against the Giants.
He's definitely the loudest Giants fan, I think.
But he backs it up. He has
Maybe
a lot
I'm the one who's wrong.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think of the three sports, basketball, football, baseball, that we talk about primarily at this station.
Definitely baseball.
Like, baseball's definitely the one that he gets up the most for, and that's why I think made this summer such a... kind of ironically fun, is that we've had some really good baseball conversations on the Morning Roast throughout this summer about this team. Whereas in the past years, it's been so hard to talk about the Giants because of just how mediocre they were. Where it's obvious, like the two kind of teams that get talked about, really, really good teams and really, really bad teams. It's the mediocre ones that make for kind of rough sports talk conversation. And this has been a bad season. It's led to, in an unfortunate sense, some really good some good Giants talk there.
Who gets up the most for basketball?
Basketball, I mean, I'll still consider Bonte part of the station, but Bonte is probably the big basketball guy.
Yeah.
Steiny as well. Yeah, I think
Warriors.
Bonte and Steiny are probably, I would say, the top basketball guys here at the station.
Football?
Ooh, taking Lo Neal off the board.
See, Lo Neal has hair now?
I did see that. Yeah, he was looking pretty good in the green T-shirt and shorts.
Yeah, where'd the hair come from?
Good for him, man. He's growing the hair out. I like it. He's almost caught up to me. But
no, he's got
a I love Lo. One of my favorite guys working. He literally looked like he came from a workout. Like, he wasn't sweating, but I feel like if he worked out in what he wore that day, I would not be surprised. Like, he's sitting on that pregame panel next to Matt Lively, and Matt, I love Matt. He's all suited up.
Yeah.
And then he got Lo there looking like, the little green bean there.
Looked like a fan.
He did, but...
And he'll be back on pregame
with
Evan this year.
On.
Honestly, if you want to talk football, Evan and Grandy, they know their stuff, especially Grandy. I think Grandy's locked in. He might be
Are we
He might
talking
be the
football,
Niner.
generally speaking, or Niners?
I guess Niners. I think
Okay.
Grandy might be the Niner guy at this stage. If I'm
Stretch
being real.
more.
There you go. Grandy's right. The Niners need to stretch more.
Wow, Grandy drop.
Stretch more. We got to go to break. Shut up, Dib. Shut up, Willard.
Oh, my God. You only got like, what, 3 or 4 drops of me, though, right, Risotto? I got, like I said last week, I got to say more stupid stuff. Too. I hate that that's one of my top drops right there. If I were to sit down with someone for dinner, I'd probably do Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, my God. Oh, you're not going to finish it? Where I include George Washington and just make it horrifically awkward?
Yeah, Dan, he said he would, if he had anybody to sit down with for a dream dinner, it would be MLK and George Washington. And who's the other one?
Doesn't matter. The dinner got ruined with those two.
Why not Obama?
I don't know. Gosh, yeah, because if MLK is there, MLK, Obama, and George Washington at the same table, I think we can put our differences aside, though, for that dinner.
Would be uncomfortable for George.
I think he'd get over it. George understands. George was a good leader. He understands that sometimes you need to set your personal squabbles aside for something greater there. That's how he made America back when we had, real leaders. And now here we are.
God bless America.
Anyway, we are talking about the
Jen doesn't do baseball, does she?
No, she's called in and talked ball before. Yeah, she's called in on the show a couple times.
Stop striking out. Advance the runner.
There you go.
Gee whiz.
She could be a part. She could be a great addition to this Giants coaching staff.
Nobody owns the Gee Whiz.
She really
We
does.
need to prove it.
I wish Jan would call in. 888-957-9570 is the number to call or text. How are we feeling about the legacy of Buster Posey in terms of the job that he is doing here as the president of baseball operations for the Giants? And, again, we're reacting to the Athletic story that asked that question that Brittany Garoli wrote. Buster Posey's Giants legacy is on the line as adulation is shifting to anger. And we've been kind of breaking down how this article has portrayed him. How much is it him versus ownership? I think another question that kind of comes from this as you're reading this is just the overall, is he just able to handle this job? Or is he in over his head? Because again, Dan, it breaks down how he took this job and how he came back to be part of ownership, had no desire to take the president of baseball operations position, but he kept driving over the Bay Bridge every day. He kept seeing the ballpark and just got that itch. And I think you see this with a lot of athletes when they leave sports. It's hard for them to leave it behind. And this is where I kind of say, like, was he overreactionary and tried to take this position or over impulsive when he tried to do it? It's like when he comes in with this set decision, I'm not taking this job, but he keeps saying the ballpark, and that makes him change his mind. Did he need to change his mind there? I guess big takeaway I came away from the story was just how Buster came to decide that he wanted this job. I almost kind of wish maybe he should have taken some more time to think about how badly he wanted this job to decide whether it was truly right for him to do it before he pulled the trigger.
It's not about whether or not he wanted the job. The question should have been all along as to whether he's qualified.
I think that's another part of that. Some that maybe, again, you consider by taking that time to think about it.
And how I was telling you that the job has very little to do with his background and or resume or qualifications. It has become so nuanced and so nerdy to your point where there's so much data that's involved. And I'm just reading off the top here. So David Frost for the Oakland A's, whatever. He's the GM.
He just got dismissed. So,
yeah, but he's a Harvard guy. Mike Hazen for the Arizona D-backs, Princeton. Mike Elias, Baltimore Orioles, not a bad GM. Yale University. Craig Breslow, Yale University.
Former player, too.
Carter Hawkins, Vanderbilt, University of Michigan, Chris. And it's not about that you got to go to college, but it's like top business schools and Ivy League schools that emphasize things like statistics and emphasize things like what it is that these guys do with numbers that I couldn't even calculate in a million years. But that's what's trending in Major League Baseball when it comes to general managers. I said this at the time of the hire, and everybody was so excited about Buster Posey being the general manager. And I said that has very little to do as far as impacting the game. The fact that he's a beloved San Francisco Giant or that he was a catcher and knows the game or knows how to, what he thinks, to recreate winning here in San Francisco. It's these dudes, these guys, I'm just literally, this is the first 10 guys I'm reading here. Who? Mike? Is it Chernoff?
Well, yeah, it's just you look at all
Chernoff.
I think, yeah, what you're getting at is you
Princeton
look at
University.
Andrew Friedman. Where did he go? Well, he didn't play baseball, but he went to school somewhere fancy. Theo Epstein, considered one of the greatest executives in baseball history. He was hired, at age 28 to run the Red Sox in 2003, and he played, a year of high school baseball.
Yeah.
Like, this concept of you have to have played this game before doesn't really apply anymore. And currently, Dan, there are 5 baseball executives active right now who have playing experience, Buster being one of them. You mentioned Craig Breslow. Chris Young is the president of baseball operations down for the Rangers. He obviously won the World Series in 23 with the help of Bruce Bochy, but things have not been going smooth for Texas outside of those seasons. Trader Jerry Dipoto, I call him Trader Jerry because he loves making trades, up in Seattle, who's had mixed success up there. And Mike Rizzo, another former player. I guess Chris Getz, who's with the White Sox, also as a former player. He's part of their executive team as well. So 6 teams employ executives that have played the game before. This is all to say that there are 24 other teams that have guys who have 0 Major League Professional Baseball experience running their teams. Among them, the Andrew Friedmans. Among them, the Dave Dombrowskis. Among them, the A.J. Prellers, who have had a lot of success in this job because it's just, again, it's the playing of baseball and the business of baseball. What we're seeing here is that there's a big chasm between the two.
Exactly. And that's, I guess, my point at the end of the day, that's what the job entails. And, God, man, if you ever walk into one of these guys, Sandy Alderson, I always remember this story. Somebody went in and interviewed Sandy Alderson when he was the former president of baseball ops or general manager here of the Oakland A's, and then he took over for the New York Mets, and walked into his office one day and could not believe, like, the minutia. Like, the guy had these boards behind him of, like, he knew every, like, single A minor league baseball player was charted on this graph, and their backups at the A level and what they were making. And then, to think about double A and triple, like, that's who, like, that is that Buster Posey at the end of the day? Does he want to, like, pour through all that data? But those are the sort of guys. And I think that's the way you need to be equipped and wired in order to be good at this.
Yeah.
And so it's not to say that Buster's not going to be good at it. I'm just saying
that he has every ability to grow into this position and get better on the job. But unfortunately, and Dan, you've brought this up in the past, you're the Giants. There shouldn't be any on-the-job learning when you are the Giants. Like, if this was the Royals or the Reds or the Twins or one of those other, below-the-line organizations that we think the Giants are not, different conversation, but, like, those are the kind of small market teams. That's where these kind of moves you can kind of do that in. But when you're in a major market, 5th most valuable team in baseball, the West Coast Yankees financially, essentially, why are we doing this on-the-job ability when we have the resources to get people out there who just know how to do this job? It's just, and this is why it's hard not to look at the hiring of Buster and think that this was a nostalgia play. This was a fan service play.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring in a guy who we can use as a shield to kind of block fan ire, and that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Buster will always be beloved to a degree here in this market, but if you hire Buster Posey to be your president of baseball operations because you think that, we're happy now, no, that's not how this works.
No.
And
no. I just never thought he was qualified for the job.
Even Mike Dunleavy, for all the grief we give him, he worked under Bob Myers for 4 or 5 years before he got elevated to the big job. Like, if Buster had spent, maybe a couple of years under, Brian Sabian or Evans, if that opportunity was there, or if Buster, operated under Farhan for a couple of years in that sense, there's that kind of that's how you get the on-the-job training, is at a lesser position, then you get elevated. In the moment, though, I'm not saying it's impossible that the on-the-job training will work out. It's very possible that a couple of years from now, Tony and Buster are a very successful duo, and we're looking back on this season and having a good hearty laugh about it. It's not a guarantee. It could happen that way, but it's just it's going to be a bumpy, lumpy, unfun, grumpy process as we go through it. 888-957-9570 is the number to call or text, talking about Buster Posey's legacy. And let's get one of our high-profile callers in here. This is his birthday this week, Dan. Philmo Mike. Philmo, how are you doing today, man? I wish you happy birthday the other day. I'm going to do it again right now. Happy birthday, buddy.
Hey, man, I appreciate the love, bro. As you get older, you get more humble. And then when people say happy birthday, they don't have to say, hey.
We got the one you liked again for you, too.
I'm literally dancing doing a two-step, thinking I'm Michael Jackson and rock with you. But listen, I disagree. Barry Bonds if Barry Bonds comes to the podium, Tim Lincecum is a great guy. He's a cool guy. He's up there. He ain't with Barry Bonds, though. That's just my opinion. Second opinion, Dan, what the hell we talking about, bro? We talking about Yale colleges? Just because you go from San Francisco to New York, you think you bougie now, bro? We don't care about Yale College, Harvard. Get some damn good baseball players, and what are we doing? Let's stop playing out here. Get some good baseball players. You traded away a Ryan. You traded, bro. Get a good team. Get a defensive team and make it happen. It's not brain surgery. I swear to God, I wish it was Eddie and I'm Whoopi Goldberg and I could be the coach or the GM. Bro, let's get some good ball players in here. What are we talking about? What are we doing? Why are we wasting our time talking about analytics? He can play baseball. He hit the baseball. He picked the baseball up. Keep him. Trade him because he sucks. What the hell are we talking about? You can hit a fastball. You hit a 90. Bro, I'm so sick of analytics, bro. I swear to God. And shout out to Mike Krukow. Barry Bonds should be the next person that replaces Mike Krukow. Boom, man, I'm out. Let's go.
Filmo fired up.
Filmo Mike celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday, Filmo. Imagine going from a two-step listen to happy birthday to screaming like that. That's why we love Filmo.
It's a range of emotion.
I get it. What Filmo said on the surface isn't incorrect. I mean, it's simple. Just go out and get good baseball players, but it's actually not that simple. It's hard to find the right good baseball players. I mean, you could say that Buster Posey's three biggest moves were not analytically driven. Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, Rafi Devers. Those were simple. We need good baseball players. Let's go get good baseball players. And we're not liking those moves right now. I
think he defined exactly what it is that I was sort of talking about. That it's just go out and get good baseball players, and it's not about the analytics of these guys who go to Ivy League schools. And I'm sorry, but it is a little bit more nuanced than that.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many shades of gray.
And so I know we think that, like, just go out and get good players, and that's sort of Buster Posey. I mean, not to that degree, but I think it's just sort of he knows baseball. He's a former catcher. He won here. Let's just hire him. But there are so many different layers that you got to pull back on this thing. And the reason I'm reading these guys off, I'm not making it up. There's a trend in baseball now where these are the guys who are successful at it, happen to have a degree that's not necessarily baseball based, but rather it's more leaning towards data and all that sort of the prerequisites.
That's what's in vogue right now. And it's actually something that Ruderman and I were having a conversation about last night. And I brought this up earlier, Dan. The analytics have, so reduced the margin for error around baseball. But baseball, I think, was also just such an abstract sport because it was very human-driven for a long period of time. You're seeing this a lot with ABS this year and umpiring, where in the past the strike zone was, kind of nebulous because it was a guy with his eyes creating an imaginary box with his brain and saying, all right, that's where the strike zone is. The strike zone is a pitch that between certain points that you're imagining can be hit. But with all the data we now have a defined strike zone that we're coming, more and more comfortable with. The concept of abstract in baseball is kind of fading away because there's so much data. There's so few margins for error. There's so much drive and push to be successful around those margins. The concept of abstract is just, it's fading away. It's an unfortunate part of the game. But again, it's the reality of how the game is evolving. Like the data is here to stay. It's not going anywhere until the grid blows up and we have to go back to, living in the Stone Ages. That'd be great for baseball, bad for, the rest of the world. Again, talk about this Buster Posey article again that came out of The Athletic. Brittany Garoli wrote it. Buster Posey's Giants legacy is on the line as adulation is shifting to anger here. We're talking about Buster Posey being qualified for this position, 888-957-9570. I think another aspect of it that I'm curious of, just two other aspects I think Buster's dealing with here that I got to imagine are a massive challenge for him. One is the lack of control, and then two is the extra scrutiny. Again, a line here from a passage from this article. The architect of the roster has been grappling with something he never did as a player, lack of control. Rival executives warn Posey not to live and die with every win or loss, and that the further you get away from the field, the harder it is to live with the results. This quote from Buster. You have control over trades or signings or who to release, but it's very concise. Posey goes on to say that maybe there's a build-up to those decisions, but then they happen in a small moment of time. Then you live with those decisions, and sometimes there's not anything you could do to rectify it if you want to go back on something. Whereas if I make a poor decision on a swing of the plate, Posey snaps his fingers, I could change that on the next pitch. Adjusting to that lack of control that you have from player to executive, I don't think it's as simple as just saying you got to let go of that control and just let the chips fall as they may, which is what you have to do. Saying it is super easy. Dealing with it is another issue. Like actually going through that, I think, is something that we on the outside just can't really come to grips with, because how could we, Dan? We're not in that position.
Yeah, I think it just gets down to the lack of experience, sort of like the Tony Vitello hire. Mm-hmm. It's a lack of experience, and I just don't think that he has the credentials to be successful at the job. And, well, and that sounds really counterproductive when you're thinking about Buster Posey in a Giant uniform or anything to do with baseball, and specifically the Giants. But again, the position of what it is that the president of baseball ops and what it is required to do in order to be good. And again, to be good, I'm just taking a look at a sample size of the top 5 GMs according to won-loss records. And these dudes, you could throw a fastball harder than any of these guys.
Yeah, but to that point, though, they've never been in that on-field situation. They have that control. It's almost like they kind of take this position understanding that there is a lot out of their control, so they can't really worry about that. Whereas when I see Buster make some of what now looks like kind of rushed, maybe, overcorrection moves of signing Chapman, Adames, trading for Devers, when you're a player, when you make a snap change like that, you can always just change back. Like, let's say you make an adjustment. This adjustment didn't work. Let's try something different. Buster made what essentially are 3 adjustments to this roster, but making an adjustment to the roster, you're stuck with. Making an adjustment at the plate, as he says, you can change in your next at bat. That is something I think that he needs to kind of, a reality that you have to kind of play around with and kind of come to peace with in order to do this job successfully. You can't rush into certain deals just because they look good on the surface. You got to really dig down deep and be like, how does this play out over the next 8 years and $295 million worth of time in regards to the Rafi Devers deal? And that's why I think, again, when that deal was made, a lot of executives around the league were like, are you okay? If you want to do that. Same thing with the Tony Vitello hire. Like, you got to think long-term on this. You can't just be thinking in the moment. And it's why a lot of people are like, all right, if you really want to do that, like, that's part of a give and take of the job that is, I think, very difficult for former players to kind of to grapple with. Some former players have been able to, some don't. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is for one being able to succeed and one not. It is different for every person in this situation.
Well, the fact that Buster Posey's never done this before, and he's come to this realization of sort of what it is that he said in the article, that this is what I've learned. Well, this learning curve and learning on the job has come at the expense of the San Francisco Giants, which is why, getting back to my point, is why you want somebody who can avoid, or at least knows where the landmines are and how to avoid all of this, who's been there before. And so, again, it's not on Buster Posey, but it was the idea that he is suited for the job. And now, a year and a half in, and you're in this mess where I think if Buster Posey could do it all over again, he would chalk it up to experience that, no, I've learned from these mistakes. Unfortunately, these mistakes have led to a team that is now underachieving in nearly, 21 games under 500?
They're 22 now, 50 and 72. With 40 left, so we're
possibly the most important job you'll ever have here at 95.7 The Game.
Oh, boy.
You got to wake up, Ruderman.
He's awake.
Okay. All right, we're going to have our live in-studio Ruderman replay. On the other side, though, again, before we get to the break, I want to finish off with this last Buster Posey quote, because, again, we talked about, is he qualified for the job? At the end of the day, Buster thought he was. There's a line here. He says at the beginning of his interview, I'm here because I believe I can do this. He says at the beginning of an hour-long interview, not to sound harsh, but I try not to sweat some opinions out there that I wouldn't ask for advice. And that's something maybe we can get into with Ruderman on the other side. I am curious how the outside noise does factor into what Buster Posey does on a day-to-day basis. Because, obviously there's the stuff that's going on at the other station. They've been very, very not afraid to hide their distaste for Buster's performance. When it's coming from your flagship station, there's a little bit more like, what's going on there that takes place. This is a guy, Buster, who never had anything negative said about him as a player. And now he's getting only negativity thrown around about him now as an executive. I want to kind of maybe debate a little bit on the other side how that might be factoring into his job right now. So we will wrap this show up on the other side. Steven Ruderman's going to come in and he's going to tell us all the things that are wrong about data and analytics in baseball. He's going to give us all the reasons why umpiring needs a renaissance and all other these old-fashioned fun baseball tanks. So live Steven Ruderman replay on the other side, brought to you by Fremont Bank, here for you, here for good.
We got to go to break.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know. Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
Think you've got baseball figured out? Put your predictions to work on Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market and official partner of Major League Baseball. Trade on who's winning the division or taking home the Cy Young or MVP and who wins it all in October. As every game changes the season, the markets move too, creating new opportunities to trade. You're trading against other fans, not the house. Download the Polymarket app today and use promo code BLAZE to unlock $20 free for your first trade. That's promo code BLAZE.
Trading not available in all jurisdictions. Check local regulations before trading. Restrictions and eligibility apply.
FlexCar, we know radio ads are annoying, but not as annoying as car salesmen.
Sign here, please.
Never talk to one again with FlexCar, the first and only month-to-month car lease.
No, submit to my extortion machine.
Insurance and maintenance included. Switch cars anytime.
Switching Bronco to Camry to tell you ride willy-nilly? Oh, no.
Oh, yes. FlexCar. You drive everything.
What makes Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring Water different? We always bottle our Alpine Spring Water less than 1.5 miles from the spring source, and all our bottles are made with 50% recycled plastic from our own recycling plants. Crystal Geyser, bottled at the spring source.
If life is a game to be won, then every child deserves to play on a level field. Children International is empowering young people in poverty on their journey by giving them the tools, the training, and the skills to shape their own futures. From the early days of development through all stages of growth and into employment. This is how, together, we can help end poverty for good. Learn more at children.org.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Make every swing count. Join Pettinelli Financial Partners for the 11th annual charity golf tournament benefiting the Autism Society San Francisco Bay Area. Register your foursome or become a sponsor today at PettinelliFP.com.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years guaranteed? Now through August 24th, new Xfinity customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, it keeps you protected from online threats. And get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know Skechers makes high-performance footwear for almost every sport you play? Here's what our athletes are saying.
Hi, I'm pro basketball player OG Anunoby. I dominate in Skechers basketball. Skechers delivers championship-level performance.
I'm WNBA star Jackie Young. Skechers keeps me quick, comfortable, and ready for anything.
And you can get high-performance Skechers and hands-free slip-ins technology. Just step in and perform.
I'm pro golfer Matt Fitzpatrick. I play in hands-free Skechers golf slip-ins.
Find yours at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or whatever high-performance sports shoes are sold.
Now back to the best Giants talk in the Bay. The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
Is this a crossover? Is this some impromptu live in studio courtesy of the River Islands guest line is one, the only Steven Ruderman. And he's been on these airwaves so many times. I figure, if you're in town for the weekend, Steven, let's just get you in here and just talk baseball with you. Why not?
Hey, it is so much fun to be here in studio. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Anyway, and of course, why not? We're going to do a four-man box here on YouTube. If you're one of the 14 people who are still watching us on YouTube, thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us. By the way, YouTubers, Bees, Book of Barnett, no's always in there. He's one of the legends. Skills, I see you too. Frank, Grimes, I see you as well.
Grimy.
Drew Down with your new username, I see you as well. Spambot that Steven Risotto just blocked, I see you as well. Ed, I see you also, but you're not contributing anything useful.
Hey.
So thank you to everybody on YouTube. And of course, Steven Risotto, we're going to get you in on this conversation this morning too. How you doing, Rizzo?
I don't think I've ever been seen before.
I think this is your YouTube debut.
It might be.
This is the end of both of you guys.
And he gets to do it behind the glass because of just how awkwardly we got things set up here. So before we start talking amongst ourselves, we do got a caller on the line. We got Frank all the way out in hot Atlanta. He's got some thoughts on Buster Posey. Frank, how you doing this morning, dude? It's the afternoon now for you out in Atlanta. You're on the wrap. How's it going?
Hey, it's going fine, guys. How you guys doing? Great show.
Thank you.
I'm good with Buster. Buster Posey is the president of baseball operations for the San Francisco Giants. He's not the general manager of the San Francisco Giants. His job is the entire franchise, from coaching, development, scouting, everything. All of that's his job. His job is to go out and find good people and put them in the proper positions to do those jobs.
Okay.
The Giants, when Buster took over that job, the Giants were the 27th ranked minor league organization in baseball. They're fifth now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a success. We now have a minor league system that is full of assets. Now, the major league thing is a thing of putting a product on the field to fill the seats. And he did that also. A lot of that falls on the players. The players are producing. But the one thing that did happen to the Giants this year was we sold off our bullpen last year and pitching prospects last year to restock our minor leagues, which got us from 27th to fifth or sixth. So the guys who he thought were going to take off in the minor leagues didn't have great years. So our bullpen sucked. There's nothing we could do about that. Buster had to rebuild the minor league system, and he's done that. Now, some of those contracts, if those guys turn around and start hitting next year, we might be able to get off of Matt Chapman or Willie Adames next year. Chapman's hurt, and Willie's demotivated. Devers does what Devers does. He's going to reach his numbers. Someone might get desperate and want him, but that might be one we eat. But you can't blame Buster for making the splash move because the guy is making his numbers. We just don't have pitching. The Giants have to be built on pitching and defense. We play in Candlestick North. We don't have a choice. And the only way we can get pitching is through free agency and trade.
Yeah, or the draft as well. Thank you for the call there, Frank in Atlanta. He's definitely got takes.
Taking a Ruderman time.
Yeah, Ruderman, what do you think of the performance that Buster's done so far? You agreement with what Frank's saying there?
With the minor league system, absolutely. Let's be honest here. The Giants, it's been obvious since 2024 that the Giants have needed to rebuild. They were starting to rebuild in 2019, and then 2021. It's like, oh, we got everything we need. Rebuild over. And then 3 years of mediocre baseball made it quite clear. And then last year they tried to go all out. And when they collapsed last July, Buster finally got, okay, time to rebuild. And as I've said, they've been quietly rebuilding since last July. What I do like is that they're not doing the tear-down rebuild. And I hate tear-down rebuilds. I really do. Because when you're the start of the year, you're 0-0 like everyone else. And I find it insulting when a team's like, well, we're not going to go anywhere this year. As poor a job as Buster has done in terms of the 2026 season, and let's be honest here, he has, I do appreciate that even though he is rebuilding, and I think that is his top priority, he is still trying to compete at the same time, though, hopefully next year. And I say next year because I do not accept a whole year without baseball. He could do a better job at trying to compete. Yeah, I think the one thing that I feel like Buster is kind of hanging his hat on now that does kind of keep him around, the similar thing for Farhan is Farhan did kind of beef up the farm system a little bit, not a whole lot. But this is the first time I can remember, and Risotto, to bring you in on this too. I can't remember the last time the Giants had a farm system that was rated this high amongst the other teams in baseball than it is right now.
It has to have been the Posey, Lincecum. Well, Lincecum was a little bit before that, but it had to have been Posey, Bumgarner, Panic, kind of that era.
Kane.
But even I don't even know if that era was this prolific in terms of international, a lot of money in international free agent signings, and the Joshua Gonzalez's and the Luis Hernandez's and guys that are just so young. And not just that they're so young, they're coming up together and they're going through the minor league system together. And I feel like that, I can't remember the last time we saw that where it's just simultaneously happening, especially they all play the same position. So it's kind of interesting, but I can't remember the last time it was this stacked. And I feel like it's only going to get better.
Not in our lifetimes, that's for sure. Because the entirety of the time that I've been a Giants fan, and that's the last 25, 26 years, the Giants have never really had a great farm system.
No, I mean, they had the success in the 2010s, but I think, to Risotto's point, I don't remember that farm system ever being, lauded to that degree. That's, I think, what made that run so special.
Well, one thing that we have to sort of keep in mind here is that farm system and those picks in 2010 were good picks because they were proven at the major league level. So before we get ahead of ourselves, as of right now, there are good prospects that he's traded for. But until these prospects turn into the next Lincecum, Kane, and Crawford, we have to exert a little patience.
And the Giants have had a lot of prospects who we thought were going to be the next big thing. Christian Arroyo, Marco Luciano, Gary Brown, you name it. And the one thing the Giants have not been the greatest at, and this goes all the way back to Bobby Evans, is developing. They're not the greatest at developing guys. They'll have some talent in the farm system, and then they can't develop them. And then some guys don't really pan out here, like, say, Adam Duvall, and then they go elsewhere and make it big. Luis Castillo, another example of that.
I mean, Kyle Harrison. That's the most recent one. And like I've heard, the streets are talking, as we like to say. The pitching development around Kyle Harrison was absolute bupkis.
Yep.
Now, he wasn't healthy for a lot of his time here, but the Brewers, I think part of it, the Brewers are just a cut above in terms of their player development. But I think the pitching development has been the most concerning over the last few years. From Madison Bumgarner's debut to Blade Tidwell's debut. I would argue that the best pitchers developed by the Giants in that time is Logan Webb, obviously.
Right.
Landon Root might be the second best pitcher to come out of the Giants farm system, though, since Madison Bumgarner's debut.
Yikes. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else?
I don't know, Risotto, is there a name that I'm missing?
Camille
Maybe
Duvall?
I guess starting pitching. Let's just focus there.
Starting pitching, I don't think they've had a homegrown international starting pitcher since it's been a long time, since the 90s. I believe Solomon Torres was the last international homegrown international pitcher.
Jeez. That's international. You mean,
and that is not counting Puerto Rico, so Jonathan Sanchez does not count.
Yeah. I mean, it's littered with just failed pitching prospects from Kyle Crick, Chris Heston, Chris Stratton, and among others, just so many others, just failed pitching opportunities here. And that is why it's so important that the Giants did go out and stock up on minor league pitching here at this trade deadline because, again, how they got to win? Pitching and defense.
Yep. And
they need the pitching, though. They haven't really had the pitching. And part one is getting the pitching. Part two is the harder part. How does Buster Posey completely overhaul the pitching development side of things right now with this team?
Well, I mean, that's the $10 million question, is because you're depleted on both ends with a bullpen, which has got to start from ground zero, basically.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then a rotation that's got one guy that I feel comfortable rolling out there, that being Logan Webb. I don't know how you feel about this, Ruderman. I know 1 through 9 could use some improvements. That's not my concern. Like if you were to roll these guys out next year and tell me this team goes to the playoffs, now you got to overhaul that pitching staff. But that's really where this begins and ends. It's the pitching. Yes, certainly the hitting could be a lot better, but I think that this is exclusively on getting better relievers and certainly addressing that starting rotation.
It's amazing how many Giants fans wanted to go get Bryce Harper or Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani or Juan Soto because they want to emulate the Bonds days when they forget that, Bonds didn't win any titles here.
Yeah.
It was pitching and defense that won titles here. And you look at the way that teams play today with the 3 true outcomes and try and hit home runs. And what this team's trying to do, and this is the Hunter Ments approach, which worked in Toronto, which is a bandbox, which is get guys on and then try and hit the 3-run homer. Well, this is Oracle Park. This is not a park made for home runs. You have to build a team accustomed for your ballpark, and it's about pitching, it's about defense, it's about small ball, and it's about station-to-station contact hitting. And the Giants really, more than anything, need pitching. You think of how they won those championships. The Giants had an historically great rotation in the late 2000s. Tim Lincecum, Matt Cain, Madison Bumgarner, Jonathan Sanchez. If Jonathan Sanchez wasn't such a head case, like yours truly, he could have been a Hall of Famer. I'm serious, he had the best raw stuff of any of the pitchers in that rotation.
People forget he had the best ERA on that 2010 championship team.
I think if he was stronger mentally, and I don't mean this as an insult because I have so much respect for Jonathan Sanchez. I was at his no-hitter, one of the greatest nights of my life, by the way. He could have been a Hall of Famer. That's how good his stuff was. And the Giants really need to develop starting pitching. Buster did a really good job of getting some hitters since he took over. And actually, even when he took over at the end of 24, prior to realizing last July that he needed to rebuild, he did start stocking up on the farm system, but he's finally this year really going all in on pitching. Jackson Flora, I am so excited to see what this kid can bring and when he might come up to the big leagues. And
Tugboat.
Oh, right. That's right. The Giants got him from Cleveland. I'm excited.
Heck yes.
Right. So one thing I would say, but Ruderman, wouldn't you agree that it's sort of feast or famine? Like, I think it's a balance between the two. Like, I understand that when the Giants win, it's got to be conducive to this ballpark, and this ballpark is gap to gap, station to station. You're all right about that. But isn't that sort of the knock on this team the last 4 years into Bob Melvin and even the latter part of Farhan's run here, as well as Gabe Kapler, is that they didn't have a guy who could just give you 3 runs with one swing of the bat. While you still have to play defense and station to station, you still need an Eldridge, or you still need a Buster Posey, as he was back in the day. And this team has been lacking that. So you can't. If you're station to station and gap to gap, then you're sort of what Farhan did his last 3 years when they were bad. You're sort of what Bob Melvin was when it didn't have. You need, I think, at least 1 or 2 guys in that lineup that strike some sort of fear, or legitimate 3 or 4 hitters in order to be good in today's Major League Baseball. Not the entire team. You don't have to be the Yankees. You don't have to be the Dodgers, but you need a few of those guys.
I think a team like the Blue Jays, and this is a team you and I have argued about a lot, Steven. By the way, the voice you're hearing here is that of Steven Ruderman. You can see his stuff on Sports Radio Service, covers the Giants and the Sacramento River Cats. Having him in studio today. If you've listened to the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap, you've heard him every week on this show, part of the Ruderman Replay, which we will hear in just a moment. But the Blue Jays, and of course they got Hunter Mentz, who was their hitting instructor last year, hitting coach for the Giants this year. It's a very good aggressive, attack the zone, get guys on base, and then bring them home with the big fly right there. That helps when you got a guy, in theory, like Vlad Jr. in the lineup. But I don't know, Steven, to Dan's point, though, do you kind of see some merit to that?
Yes, it doesn't hurt to have a guy like that, but the problem is with Hunter Mentz is they're strictly relying on that. And you can't rely on that in this ballpark. And the Giants did hit for a lot of power in 2021. The thing was, from 22 to 24, they were trying to hit home runs. I remember after a loss against the Braves back in August of 2023, Gabe Kapler's like, obviously we're not hitting as many home runs as we want to hit. And it's like,
obviously,
that June when they had their 10-game winning streak, they weren't relying on home runs. They were relying on station-to-station hitting. Last year, when the Giants got off to their 24-14 start, they were hitting some home runs. They were actually doing it the way, Dan, you said they were supposed to be doing it, which is they were doing station to station with some home runs. They was actually working perfectly. And then in the middle of May, when they started sputtering, they started trying to hit home runs exclusively again. You can't get into that mindset of home run or bust. The real moment this year that I think set the tone for the season was the bottom of the first inning in the Netflix game. Willie Adames is up with runners at first and third, 1 out, has a chance to get the big hit in front of the entire country in the first game of the entire season. He wants to hit the 3-run homer. He strikes out. Jung-Hoo Lee grounds out. Then the Yankees score 5 runs in the top of the second inning. That set the tone perfectly for the season. Yes, it is good to have some power, but you shouldn't be wholly relying on it. And unfortunately, way too much this season, especially from Willie, especially from Rafi, you're seeing them just try and hit home runs in big situations. And that's one of the reasons that despite the fact that the Giants have one of the highest batting averages in baseball, they're up there in hits, that they can't really score runs. This is not a ballpark conducive for home runs, and you can't be trying to hit the big 3-run homer at Oracle Park. You just can't.
No, it's
get rid of Devers. Are you with me?
Yeah, and
why do you want to see Devers gone so bad?
A guy like Devers is selfish. What he did in Miami was unacceptable. What he did on Sunday was unacceptable when he hits a pop-up that falls in and only is at first base. And
that's not that he's dogged it on a lot of these pop-ups. There's the one against the White Sox.
The one against the White Sox.
He almost got thrown out on that one.
There was the double that should have been a triple against the Pirates on Mother's Day that he would have scored on had it been a triple, and the Giants were an out away from losing that game, though they came back and won. It almost cost the Giants the game. And the fact that, here's the thing with Tony. Tony, I like the idea of college managers going to the show. But what this year has shown is that they shouldn't go directly to the show. And Tony is managing scared. Let's be honest. I think Tony has what it takes to be a great big league manager. And I really do sincerely hope that the Giants hold on to him. But he's been managing scared. And when he didn't bench Rafi after not legging out the ball off the wall, when he didn't bench Willie after clowning around at second base and forgetting how many outs there were.
Dodger Stadium, yeah.
Didn't bench Rafi after the pop-up. That set the stage for the tantrum that Rafi threw when he was pinch run for in Miami. Because what Tony did was he sent the message that, it's okay if you do this stuff. And when that happens, then you're just going to have chaos throughout your clubhouse.
Really quick, Risotto, I want to get you in here as you hang out behind the glass. For those who don't know, that's Steven Risotto hanging out behind the glass. And he's got to get himself looking all spiffy for his YouTube debut. How do you view the Rafi-Tony dynamic here? Do they kind of need to figure out a way to move off Rafi, or is there a way to make this all work out?
I think there's a way to make it all work. And one thing I will say about Tony is that I agree it is unprecedented. And I think the pitching angle of it is so interesting to me just because Tony's a guy who, and all college coaches are coaches who don't necessarily follow the major league pitching schedule, right? There's no 5 starters. You got your Friday night starter, whatever it is. Everything's so different, and you could use that Friday guy, or you could use the Tuesday night guy and use him back on Friday. Whatever it is, there's so much going on. And Tony comes into camp with a bullpen that just isn't even good. There's a lot of guys in there competing for spots, young guys who are usually starters who could be stretched into bullpen roles. And it's just kind of a mess. And one thing I will say is that the superpower of Tony Vitello when he was at Tennessee was his ability to recruit young players and to bring them to his school and to pitch them the idea of playing at Tennessee is going to advance your baseball career. And when you put him in a big league setting, it just doesn't. It takes that superpower away.
There's no recruiting at this level.
There's no recruiting. You don't have like half the job pretty much. So it's almost like the thing that made Tony, like you don't have 25% of that.
No.
And I think you're seeing a situation where he can't, and I don't know the ins and outs of this clubhouse, but he's not able to stand. I'll just say it. He's not able to stand up to the veteran players. Yeah. When Willie Adames needs a day off, sometimes you as the manager just have to step in and say, you're not playing today. And there hasn't been enough pushback.
Well, I think that brings up an interesting point there, Risotto, because when you recruit guys to go, once they say yes, they've bought into what you're selling. They've fallen in line behind you. So when Tony steps into that clubhouse in Tennessee, he's got a bunch of college kids that have already, more or less, I'll use a Game of Thrones term here, bent the knee to him. You don't have that at the big league level.
They're impressed by him. These guys aren't really impressed by him.
What needs to happen, going back to Willie and Rafi, when stuff like that happens, when Rafi doesn't run out a fly ball and it costs your team 90 feet, costs them a run and almost cost them the game as it did against the Pirates on May 10th, when Willie forgets how many outs there are because he's too busy being the class clown at second base. What you do at the very, very, very least, you're not in the lineup the next day. Oftentimes you're pulled right there and then, and when you do that, you send a message that this will not be tolerated. And that is what he needed to do and what, unfortunately, he was unable to do.
You know what we're able to do right now is we are going to be able to hear a live in-studio replay call of one Steven Ruderman. That is the voice you're hearing right now. Catch him on Sports Radio Service, recovers the Giants and Rivercats. Also an aspiring broadcaster. We do it every week. The Ruderman replay. Here it is. One moment from the Giants this past week with Steven Ruderman on the call. Ruderman, what do you got? What's going to be the play of the week that you recreate for us here?
All right, bottom of the 9th inning. Here's the pitch to Bryce Elder.
Where is it? Last night? What were we doing?
Okay, this is last night. Okay. Sam, you were talking about this earlier. Last night may have been the worst game overall played in baseball this season. Hey, when it's the Giants and the Rockies, that's what you're going to get. So here is the Bryce Eldridge, Rafael Devers double play. All right, nobody out, bottom of the 9th inning. Here's the pitch, swinging a high pop-up, shallow left center field. Carrick coming in. He's going to dive, and he's going to make the catch. Rafael Devers is still heading towards third. He has no clue, and he's going to be doubled off at second base. I think if Rafi didn't see the throw, you'd probably just come in to score an absolutely brutal double play. And just like that, there are 2 down here in the bottom of the 9th.
And there it is.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Thank you so much for
good to see it in person.
Yeah, cool to see Risotto. This is a fun way to end the show.
Every day.
There we go. We got to see him on the YouTube, though. We never get to see him on the YouTube. So
Ruderman's the best. He slept on a couch until 11:30.
Barry Bonds style.
There we go. Anyway, that is it for today's edition of the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. Hey,
happy birthday, Dibs.
Oh, my God, Dibs. It was your birthday yesterday.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Happy birthday,
Dibley. 44 years old, does not look a day over that age of 44. So happy birthday to you, one Dan Dibley. He was in need of a birthday, and there it is. So anyway, Dan, thank you. Ruderman, Risotto, thank you. Thank you to everybody on YouTube and everyone else who called in and listened. And of course, Dodgers suck.
Thanks.
Later, dudes. Let her rip. Hang 10.
That's Elena's family group chat. Someone's always sending a blessing
or starting a poll about the baby shower theme at midnight.
With Real Unlimited from Total Wireless, she's always in the loop, whether she wants to be or not. Switch to Total Wireless Total Starter Plan or higher and get a Samsung Galaxy A16 5G on us. And from now until September 1st, get free activation by skipping the access charge. Go to